Good morning and welcome to WCS Football Media Day 2024. It's the official start of the 24-25 season. This morning in particular, we're going to be talking football. It's the first time we've done this in the morning, so I appreciate Mojos Tacos, the folks at the factory at Franklin being a part of this. I appreciate our media members who are here. We got several out there today. The way our schedule fell this year, it just made more sense with practice and games, the way they're set up, to do this on a Saturday. So by the looks of the crowd, it has worked out great so far. Just to give you an idea of what we're going to do today, we will have each coach up here. They'll have a 20-minute segment. The coach will give an opening statement about their team. They've got a couple players with them. They'll introduce them as well, and then we'll take questions from the media. Again, we'll have 20-minute sessions. Do want to thank Tate Matthews, who was here this morning with his weekend show on 104.5 The Zone, High School Sports Saturday. We had Coach Coleman of Centennial, of Summit.
Jamal.
See, it wasn't bad because that's good. And we got Jamal Stewart of Centennial High School that both stopped in with Tate. Tom Krager was here from the Tennessean. We see a lot of different media members that are already in the room here. So, again, appreciate you guys being here. Without the media, there is no Football Media Day. Also want to thank the students from outside the lines. That's our work-based learning students. They're here today helping out with the event, so we appreciate them. So let's get started. You don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from these guys. We're going to start off with Summit High School. Summit 5-7 last year, made it to the second round of the playoffs. Coach Coleman, when he was sitting here last year, we were still talking about trying to get some experience from his team. I think he would admit that a playoff berth was step number one, getting a playoff win was step number two, and now going into this year, I know expectations are going up for Summit High School. So without further ado, Coach Coleman, Summit High School, give him a hand. Coach, if you'll give us an opening statement, and we'll get started here. Thank you.
I should have just let you do the opening statement. That was a good lead off there. But that's true. Looking forward to the 2024 season. Building off last year, we had a playoff win against Antioch first round, then played Brentwood second round. They were a very good football team, and they advanced, I think, to the semifinals. But just to build off that, had a great off season. Have a few new additions to the coaching staff that we're very happy with and very excited about. Brought with me today Mason McElhaney is our returning quarterback from last year. Just a great young man. Rushed for at least 1,300, 1,200 yards last year. Doing a great job this year in the passing game. Just a great team leader, great game manager. We ask a lot of him and are very proud of what he does for our football program. We also have Ian McCarthy, our starting right guard, 3-year starter. He's excited to be here. He's sweating like crazy, but he'll do a great job. But excited about him. Great team leader also. Our team actually votes for team captains in a couple weeks before the first game, and I'm sure these two young men are going to be part of those four. I can almost guarantee it. But just great young men. This season, like I said, excited. Going to build off of last year. Feel like we're getting back into a groove, getting back into having some returners back. I guess our big question mark of our team is offensive line. Ian will be the only returning starter from that offensive line, but we've got a lot of kids that have stepped up. Davin Roush just played baseball last year. This year he also came back out for football, so he'll probably be in contention for our right tackle. Garrett McNeil going to play somewhere, center tackle. We don't know. Jake Campbell. We got a lot of new names, but and then we may have to look at some sophomores. I mean, it's great to play. I talked with this earlier to Tate Matthews on his show, which that was exciting to be on. I'm glad he's doing a part of this, but may have to play some sophomores. And Coach Jamal Stewart earlier talked about you can't have a sophomore slump. You've got to be ready to play. You never know when your number's called. You can't look to other players. So I'm just stealing your quotes, Coach. So they were good. So a few sophomores may have to play a lot this year, which is good. May take our lumps in the beginning, but long run, that'll be good for depth. But again, excited about this year, and I guess I'm done.
Raise your hand, we'll bring you a mic.
Coach, off season, how important was you've got some new coaches? How important was to get on the same page with your assistants and knowing that they may be bringing some new schemes, but it's still at the end of the day, it's still your program.
And it's great. I don't care. I don't care who calls the plays. I don't care what plays they are. I don't care. We just want to win. We just want to do what's best for these young men. Put these young men in a spot where they can succeed. So that's the biggest thing. And there's been a lot of meetings, a lot of talking, a lot of board work. For hours on end, after practice, before practice. During the spring. Spring was big for us because we had our coaching staff intact. So coaches will be ready. The new scheme will be ready if it is new. I don't know. I mean, who knows what Coach Collins is going to do? We'll see. But he's a great man, great coach. Coach Davis, we got him. He's a great offensive line coach. Coach O'Neill's a great outside linebacker coach. Adding to the staff of already, Coach Taylor was our defense coordinator. Does an excellent job. Just works tirelessly on the defensive side of the ball. So excited about the staff. I think we're getting along well. No, we are. But as far without giving too much away, I think it'll be a new look, but still some of the old school stuff.
Mason, Tom with the Tennessean. Don't worry about this question. None of your opponents are paying attention, okay? So don't worry about it. Just me and you talking. Coach Collins, how are things going to be different on offense with Coach Collins as the OC? Again, just every secret you want to tell us because no one's paying attention to this.
Yeah, so I think with any new OC that comes into a program, it's going to look a little bit different. They're going to have their own terminology. It's still going to be the same game, but it's just going to be different terminology, different ways of calling plays and things like that. And so as far as that goes, it's been kind of a different curve, learning the different terminology and things that were the same as last year and for things that we're going to do a little bit different as well. So just that curve for me has kind of just been the bigger picture this year, just learning the new terminology for some of the same things and some different things. But I love Coach Collins. I love the way he coaches and everything like that. And so I'm excited for this year.
Great answer. That's right. Great.
Mason, Maurice Patton with Main Street Murray right here. With a year of starting quarterback under your belt, what do you feel like? How do you feel like that's helped you, and what do you feel like you take out of that into this time around?
Honestly, for a quarterback stepping in first year, you're going to be a little bit nervous. You're going to not have as much. You've never been in that position before. So I think confidence is a big thing as well. And when you're confident, the rest of the team knows that they're confident in you as well. And so as far as that goes, going into the playoffs last year, knowing what that's like and getting a win. So just building off of that and taking the next step this year and leading the team as far as we can take it. So that's the goal.
And we put a lot on his plate, too. I mean, he has run reads. I know everybody wants to say RPO, but, there's some of that. But also, even when you run the ball, he's got to read somebody. So we put a lot on his plate every single play, and he does a great job with that.
To follow up on that, Mason, how do you feel like having QB1 kind of settled helps the rest of this team going forward?
Like I said, I think that the rest of the team, when they can look to somebody as a leader and kind of look to somebody that's confident in that role and being in the quarterback position, it just helps build the rest of the team. It helps them, look to you and look to your example, and we lead by example. And so that's pretty much, yeah.
Ian, question for you. Would you rather sit here and do media questions or block a defensive lineman?
Block a defensive lineman.
Talk about the offensive line. Coach Coleman is always, that's been his area of expertise. He works with that a lot. Talk about what the line looks, how you're coming together this year.
I love the line this year. We're all really good together. We've been playing with each other since 6th grade and middle school, even the Hawks. We're all gelled together. We gelled really fast. We love hanging out outside. We like going to the pool and stuff. We're all just one mind. We like, how to explain this? We play as one a lot easily.
Yeah, and how important is that with the type of offense that you run? I mean, it's like there's a lot of pulling, that kind of thing going on. What does that, what's that like when you guys are all lining up? Are you kind of the guy that makes sure that line is set and everybody knows what their job is?
Yes, sir. I make the checks almost all the time, but, I mean, we all have to trust each other. In our offense, one block can make the whole play and get us 5 yards back.
Mason, I was out at practice yesterday watching some of y'all do some things, and looks like Kerry Collins can still throw the football. I was watching him throw to the receivers. What has he done for you mechanically? Has he done some things there, like how you grip the ball, that type thing? Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so, with him coming in, I think the biggest thing that he's done for me is I've just tried to soak up as much knowledge and as much wisdom as I can from the game because he's been around it for a long time. So mechanically wise, he kind of, when he came, he just told me, he said that he's always been this way because, he said Phillip Rivers throws the ball kind of completely sidearm. Tom Brady will throw it, it's different arms, angles, different arm slots. So as mechanically goes, he just said whatever's comfortable for you. It's kind of just that thing. But he's really just poured out a lot of wisdom into me, and I really appreciate that. And I'm trying to still soak up as much as I can while I can. So.
Coach Coleman, Joe Williams, just a quick question on your schedule. As tough as it's going to be to open your region schedule with an old rival like Brentwood, you also made it homecoming with all the distractions that goes with that. Who schedules for you, man?
Why do you, Joe? We're boys. Why? No, homecoming these days is more or less when is the home. It's not by opponent anymore. I would love for it as a football coach to be as by opponent, but first of all, we don't have any lesser opponents on our whole schedule. But it's usually the faculty and staff want to have it this month, and when do we have a home game that month? Because they don't want the weather to be bad. They don't want to do it later in the year because it's cold. So, I mean, it's more about other people other than the football coach or players that schedule that, Joe. These guys will be all right. They're focused. We're good. We're good.
Hey, Coach Charles with the Williamson Herald. Want to give you the opportunity to kind of say something about the success side of things. I know we're just getting started. We don't have that identity really figured out yet, but come end of October, early November, what do you need your team to be able to do to find success and, get another big playoff win and kind of advance through?
Man, I think Charles, it's always progression year to year. Even the state championship years, there were times we went to the semifinals, and played a tough beach team and lost. And then, your program builds, and young men like these guys build your program. So, it's, and I don't want to put too many. I know we want to win a region. That number one goal, we want to win our region championship. But if we don't, our next step, get to the playoffs. After that, win a playoff game. So then I just don't want to put too much pressure on them. They know the expectations of our school. As soon as they walk in the locker room, they see 2 silver balls and a gold ball right there. They know, what's expected of them on and off the field from years past to make the teams before them proud of them. We break it down on pride every time. So, we want to have pride in our program. So whatever that looks like, as long as these young men are getting better each week as young men, as football players, I'm happy with that. Now, I'm not saying we don't want to win. You know what I mean? We want to win it. We want to go 10-0, but we're not tanking the season if we have a couple losses.
To add on to that, if that's okay, I just wanted to add on to that real quick. Our class, me and Ian, we dressed for varsity our freshman year, so we're the last class that was able to see that state team, and so I think it was really huge for us, and being able to see that and see how they played and how they practiced and everything like that, and how we can, build off of that and use that as an example for us, and so how we want our senior year to go.
Coach Dana McClendon, WAKM. You talked about your offensive line. You didn't use this word, but I will. It's a little bit in flux. What about defense? How many returning starters, and in particular the line?
Defensive line probably be the strength of our defense next year. We return Makai Bell. getting a lot of looks by a lot of colleges. 6'6", 230, 240, great young man, has had a great summer, has had a great offseason putting on strength. And then another returner will be Andrew Switzer. So, I mean, the defensive line is going to be a strength of our team, I believe. So just excited about them. We've got, a couple middle linebackers. I think we have 4 rotating right now we haven't even settled on. So excited about them. Though we will have depth in the front 7, not so much depth in the secondary, but a lot of Michael Crutcher, returning sophomore, had a great season last year. He'll be starting at safety. So a lot of leadership on the defensive side, we'll say.
Got time for a couple more? Anyone else?
Coach Coleman or your players, whichever one wants to take this. You mentioned you won the state championship earlier in your career. How do you feel like that helps you when the competition is so stiff in your district?
It really is molded me, it's helped me as a football coach, and it's just, those 3 years we had 45 games, so we saw, as an offense, we saw every defense that was possibly thrown at us, so that's helped us mold our defense of what we read and our lineman check, stuff like that. We feel like film-wise, we don't get a lot of film on people having a tight end. There's just not many high school football programs anymore that have a tight end, much less a tight end wing. So we had to be prepared during a game, even after the first series, of what a defense is going to do against our offense. So we prepare these guys to see everything, to see any kind of combination defensively that they can possibly see. So as far as that goes, I think that really, helped out a lot. And, it was a great experience. As a coach or as any person in your job, you want experience, and that was a great experience and a positive experience on my coaching career and on my life.
Joe with 615 Preps. Coach, last year you guys got that playoff win once again. I think we're used to seeing Summit win in the playoffs, and you beat a really good Antioch team. How important is it for that group to see that sort of success after maybe 2 years ago where you were kind of rebuilding and getting Summit back to what we all know it is?
That was huge. That was a goal. For these guys who experienced that, there's a lot. If you make it to the playoffs, first of all, if you're one of the top 4 in our region, you're a pretty good football team. Our region is tough. Our region is full of great athletes. Our region is full of great coaches. So even if you get in the top 4, there's a chance, okay? I'm not saying other regions are bad. I'm just saying our competition is pretty good. So to get that win against a great Antioch team, a very, very athletic Antioch team at their place also was huge. As us being a 3 seed, so we had to travel. That was huge for the development of them to feel that next level of intensity and mode of what I need to do in order to progress on in the playoffs, or what's it going to take this season to get there.
Thank you, Coach Coleman. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for being here. Good job, guys. Great start there with Summit High School. Again, we're at Mojos Tacos in the factory at Franklin. I would ask that our media members that are sort of in the back, we could maybe move up and fill those spots in. If we have guests who are here that want to come on in and watch the interviews, that's fine. But if you would, make sure you stay on the back row there so our media has great vision of the table and they can also ask questions. Next up on the table, we'll have Centennial High School, Coach Jamal Stewart. Last year, 10-3. Coach Stewart, first year in WCS last year. Coach, you'll be in the middle. Guys, one on each side. Everybody will have their own mic. This time last year, Coach was talking about his excitement for being here. We were certainly excited that he came into WCS. Now he's a grizzled veteran, year 2 in WCS. He's used to the media days and the different expectations we have here. Again, wonderful season for Centennial. 10-3 quarterfinals against Page High School, and I think we all felt like the winner of that game would make it all the way to the end. So, Coach, if you would, give us an opening statement on expectations for the year. Also introduce who you have here with you, and then we'll take questions from the media. Again, Centennial High School, Jamal Stewart.
First and foremost, thank you for everybody coming out. This is an amazing event. Looking forward to year 2 in our program. We have a good group of kids that stepped up to the plate to replace some of the guys that we lost. We've been having a tremendous summer. Everybody's been on the same page. The camaraderie is where it needs to be. The energy, the attitude, the effort, the things that they can control is right where we ask it to be right now. You know, the coaching part that comes in and development and things like that, but the things that they can control is right where it needs to be for us to move to the next level for year 2. I'm excited with the group that I have today. I have Kenai Johnson with me. He's going to athlete. He'll be all over the field. And this, to my left, will be Riley Turner, our quarterback this year. He's made tremendous strides. He's a great leader in our program. I say this all the time, he's our coach on the field. Like I said, he knows how to develop plays. He breaks down film well. He gives great suggestions. And our offense looks a lot different with him at quarterback. So like I said, it's exciting. We returned 6 players on offense and 4 on defense, which I talked about earlier. I'm really excited with the opportunity to coach young guys. I pride myself and my staff prides themselves on development. I try to push away the sophomore syndrome, what I spoke about earlier, which is I'm going to wait my turn. No, I'm going to make it your turn right now. So we need to build depth and things like that. So I'm excited. We have our schedule will be the same, but as you can tell on our schedule, we play some top-tier opponents. Like we're 5A, but we play a lot of 6A programs, and you know that's what I pride myself on is getting them guys ready for the playoffs. You know, you have Brentwood and you have Summit and Independence and things like that. So, you know, we'll be battle tested and ready for 5A playoff time when it comes around.
Coach, how does this offense look different without Dom on the anywhere on the field?
The thing about this is Riley does a good job spreading the ball around. He makes the checks, and I trust him to do exactly what we ask. We do film study, and like I said, he sees the field just like I do. So, you know, you can focus on Kenai one Friday, and then our number 2 and number 3 receiver might go for 100, you know, things like that. He makes the right decisions. You know, a lot of times you have buddy ball. When I say that is, you try to throw it to your favorite friend all the time and force plays. Well, Riley makes a good, great decisions and getting the ball out, protecting himself, making the right checks up front. I have a lot of confidence in him. Like I said, it's really exciting. I'm excited for this year because, like I said, we have to replace a lot, but people are going to be shocked when they see when we come out on Friday night with this man behind the center doing the things that he does.
Hey guys, Charles with the Herald. Kenai, do you mind speaking a little bit on this team and just what your role is going to kind of be like? I know there's a lot of focal points, a lot of targets looking at you to lead this offense a little bit. Tell me what your thoughts are.
Okay, there we go. Well, honestly, I just feel like the team is ready to compete, just like last year's team. I mean, it's not really anything that we can control, well, individually wise, because it's a unit thing. My role, pretty much, I don't think it's going to change. I mean, it's the same thing as every other Friday night. Go out there and execute and win the game.
Coach, can you kind of speak on his, I guess, just skill level out there and what it means to kind of have a weapon like a Kenai coming back for him?
We've faced a lot of great programs in 7-on-7 this summer, and without a doubt, Kenai Johnson's been the best athlete on the field. And, you know, after the 7-on-7s, you have coaches coming up and be like, man, this kid is amazing. And, you know, it's what we already knew. But like I said, Riley makes sure he gets the ball. And, you know, and he's going to be all over the place. He's going to play quarterback. He's going to play running back. He's going to play wide receiver. You might see him at tight end. You never know. But he's a selfless guy. He just wants to do whatever it takes to win. And like I said, we graduated a lot. A lot of people think, you know, the tides will change. But these guys up here sitting with me, they're making sure year 2 is just the same as year 1, going in the right direction.
This is Brad DeShiel with Dash to Sports. Coach Stewart, give me maybe a brief overview of the difference in coaching in Williamson County and where you were at Nashville East. I know it's two totally different programs, two totally different teams, one's, divisions, I mean, everything. Is there anything that you see different in the two, or is it pretty much same thing, I'm just doing it at a different school?
Like Coach Coleman said, there's not a night off. It doesn't matter what the record is. On Friday night in this county, you're going to have to coach. You're going to have to prepare your kids well. And the guys in this county, and like I said, the coaches in this county, they when the lights come on, it means something to win in your county, on your side of town, a lot more. You know what I mean? So, and here, what's different here is everybody goes to the school they're supposed to go to. In Metro, you can kind of pull your kids from all over the city. But here it's like these guys could have went to private school. So could my guys last year, but they chose to represent their side of town and represent their community. It means something to them. So, when we put our blue helmet on, I told them when the lights are on, it's time to go. They're not representing just themselves. They represent their mom, their dad, the past alumni of the school, the community, as well as myself. So we take pride in being a good representation of who we are and where we're from.
Talk about, and I'm going to talk to Kenai and also Riley. Is there a difference? I mean, you guys played in 6A. Last year was 5A. I mean, you're still playing 6A teams. Anything different there, or just, it's just competition?
Like Coach Stewart said, can't take a game off. Everyone, they're going to be good. They're going to be have a good game plan. And, 6A, Wilco, I think it's the toughest region in the state. So having to play those games and then having to turn around and play 5A games in our region, I think it's really tough. But I know we're going to be able to get it done.
Not knocking on the 5A or anything, but I feel like it's a difference in 5A and 6A. Well, speaking for me, because sophomore, freshman year, I had played Chris Parsons, one of the best quarterbacks out there. He was pretty good. The linemen, they're huge. Everything's bigger in 6A, I feel like. But, everything's a decent size in 5A also. So they're pretty good competition either way that you look at it.
Joe is 615 Preps. For the players, you guys got a coach last year who built East Nashville into a team that we expected to compete in the state championship picture every year. What's Coach Stewart brought to Centennial that's really kind of upped the program to where you guys are now?
Energy. A lot of energy.
What kind of energy?
We going at each other at practice every day. It's competition between each other, so it's energy.
Yeah, I would agree. Like every day at practice, we're all getting after it. When Kenai has to go to defense, we're going after each other. Like when he goes to safety or corner, wherever we put him, and it's just fun that we get to compete against each other every day. So yeah, definitely energy at practice for sure.
Kind of following up on that, Joe Williams, WAKM, and Kenai and Riley, this is for you guys. You saw the ups and downs. What was the first thing that you wanted to tell Coach last year as he was coming in? And what's the first thing you want to tell him this year as you move forward?
Actually, it kind of never changed. I'm ready, and I feel like we ready. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, same thing. I feel like we're ready to go take that next step in the playoffs. So, I know Coach Stewart can do it with this team, and, yeah, we're ready for it.
I just want to chime in on that. When I got here, it was a bunch of kids that was hungry to be pushed. Not saying they wasn't pushed before, but like I said, my energy is a little different. I really try to get the best out of them. Like I said, I tell this all the time. I'm tough on them. I'm hard on them, and they know it. But they know I'm hard on them for a reason because I love them just as hard. You know what I mean? So, like I said, you got to break them down and build them back up. And when I say break them down, I want them to understand that we haven't arrived. We're not where we need to be. We're not touched the max potential. And like I said, these two guys right here, when I first got in here, they were all on board. And like I said, I am energetic. I am high energy. Like I said, I demand it because if we're high on energy and we practice hard, Friday night is a little bit easier. You know what I mean? So, and this guy right here, I've coached some good quarterbacks, but I've never let a guy correct me so much. You know what I mean? So I'll call something. He was like, no, coach, you should have called this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, Riley, you're right. Y'all should have called that. So that's why I say it's exciting. You got a guy that's watched film just as much as you, or, he'll come in and try to talk to me. I think we're talking about something else, and he's coming to me and talking about plays of the day or plays of the week or, Coach, should I slide the line this way? So it's exciting. Like I said, I have some great additions on our coaching staff. Our coaching staff is pretty good. Like I said, it's all about relationships, guys. Like when I say that is, you can have great X's and O's, but if your kids don't like you, you're not going to get the most out of them. So I talk to them about building a good relationship and having good men around our guys, and our players respect them, and they work hard for them every day.
Maurice Patton with Main Street Murray. Riley, Coach Stewart spoke to it a little bit just now, but that energy that he brings, how does that show up on Friday nights?
I think that's just going to show up just by us being passionate and, we're really, really excited to get out there on Fridays and show what we've been working on. And we've been working really hard this summer, waking up early in the morning and getting after it. So, just bringing that energy from practice to Fridays for sure is something that we're looking forward to do.
During 707, if I could refer to this, 707 kind of tells us, hey, you're on a leash right now because we haven't arrived. Like he said, we haven't arrived. So on Friday, when it's time to go, he's letting us off a leash and he's letting the dogs loose. So we're coming after you.
Okay, perfect. That's a great segue. Coach, Dana McClendon, WAKM, less than a month from now, at Franklin, we need some bulletin board material. Let's go.
Round 2. That's all I got to say. Like I said, we don't care who it is on Friday night. We got the same attitude, the same intensity, the same outcome is what we're trying to go for. You can give them bulletin board material. That's fine. It ain't going to change because our mentality is what it is. You know what I'm saying? The next man up, the next game up, we're going to play the way we play, And it's the Battle of Franklin. What better game to start your season off with that? And just to let you know, this ain't the same old Centennial.
Coach, I know this is the second year of a scheduling cycle. How close are we to Centennial Maplewood?
Hey, now he just texted me and said he was trying to find out if this was live, and he's going to be game 1 next year. So we'll make sure that happens. Like I said, that's my best friend. He's been very supportive, and like I said, he wanted to scrimmage, but I already had my guys lined up already. But he knows it's coming.
Coach, we've talked about these two guys a little bit here. Speaking of the bulletin board material, can you give us some more names, some guys we'll be looking into on both sides of the ball, really?
His younger brother I expect a lot out of him. A phenomenal athlete, Gavin Johnson, he can do it all. Track athlete, he's one of them guys that, give him the ball and he's going to make something happen with it. Alex Kalawala, our left tackle, he's an animal. Our offensive line coach, Joshua Southall, is doing a good job developing the offensive line over the last couple of years. We got some Ethan Cleary that does a good job for us, a wide receiver. Isaac Bonds, who we just got transferred from Cane Ridge. He's the other side of Kanai. And like I said, you put the ball in the air, you're going to be in trouble. And like I said, that's just the confidence we're having. You know what I mean? So our offensive line does a good job right now. We got Jaden Drayton, who's our running back this year, and Carlos Villa. If they're going to be the two that, split the carries, and they're going to just be the ones that, when we need their yard, they're going to be the guys to give the ball to. On the defense side of the ball, Aiden Wright, a big name that we have, outside linebacker, DN. We just have guys that's just stepping up. Like I said, you're going to have a lot of guys that you guys probably don't have names in the paper, but they will be this year because they worked hard. Our off-season workout has been tremendous. We do a good job of, the weight room stops injuries, and we firmly believe in that. And like I said, I'm just proud of the strides we've made with the younger guys. And you guys can comment on who you guys feel like would be better additions as well.
You got Malachi Steele. I feel like that's stepping up and playing a big role. You got Mikey Pimentel. who I feel like is doing a good job filling in and playing the position that he's playing. I think B.J. Ridgeway, he's doing a good job where he's at and playing the defensive side of the ball where he is. And then I feel like our linebacker core is pretty good and strong as well. Riley?
I think this just gives me a point to brag on my receivers, man. I think we have the best wide receiver room in the state, especially with Kanai, Isaac, Ethan, Tay. I mean, we have a ton of guys. I mean, they have a chance to go for 100 every single game, and that's just the glory of my job is just I get to give the ball to them, and they get to do all the work, make my job look good.
Tom Krager with the Tennessean. Touching on that, just talk about your quarterback. What's it been like adjusting to a new quarterback? What's he like? How much work have you guys had to just get used to each other?
Well, me and Riley started together in middle school, so really didn't take anything to getting used to because I kind of already had that connection with him. But it was also I had to notice that going from a right-handed quarterback and a left-handed quarterback, that the ball spins a different way when it's coming out of the quarterback's hand also. So something I got to look at also.
And Riley, for you, I mean, first-year starter, I know Coach doesn't like the term, doesn't like buddy ball,
yeah.
but you know you have someone like Kanai that you know, hey, if you're in a pinch, he's a guy that you can look for to get the ball to.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, like you said, we go back to middle school, so, I mean, all those times at recess, I mean, we're always on the same page. We've been playing together for a long time.
Charlie Bateman, Williamson Herald. This question is for Kane, Riley, and Coach Stewart. Are there any challenges with going from 6A to 5A since last season was your first 5A season?
Well, for me, like I said, I got here when they was transitioning to 5A, but, you know, coming from the school that I came from, we were 3A, and all my opponents were 5A, 6A, or private school. So I just think, I tell this all the time, a lot of people don't like this comment, but I mean it wholeheartedly. I don't care about the last 10, the first 10. I care about the last 5. I'm trying to get to the last 5 games. You know, like I said, when you prepare yourself, like my first year, I was 6-4 in East Nashville, and the parents were like upset because they're used to going 8-2. And I was like, y'all are used to going 8-2 and going home in the first round of the playoffs. I said, we're 6-4 and we won 6 straight, so we played 15 games. So it's about development and getting your guys battle tested. You know what I mean? So we're a 5A school. When we do the recycle again, we're going to play 6A schools. We're going to play a private school. I mean, that's just how I believe in it. I believe in that. So by the time the last 5 games come, you're battle tested and you play against some quality opponents. Like I said, I mean, you don't get any better playing against guys just for wins for the first 10. I mean, it doesn't look good to go 9-1 and 10-0, and then you get beat in the second round of the playoffs. I mean, that's not what I'm about. I told her every time we try to do something, like the other day they got in trouble. We did 15 up downs. The number for us is 15. We're trying to find a way to get to 15 games, so that's our focus.
Coach Riley, this offense in year 1 versus this offense in year 2, obviously you lost a lot of pieces from last year to this year, but how do you feel like it's going to look different?
So everybody knows I like to run the ball. I'm a power counter gap scheme guy. I like to get downhill. I like to make you play the box. But this year, I promise you it won't look like that. I mean, it's still in our toolbox, but I have 100% confidence in this guy to my left of making the right decisions. Previously, before, I used to throw the ball a lot. In my earlier days, when I was a young coach at Stratford, I was 4 wide, 5 wide the whole game. But now we got a new system that we learned in the offseason in Georgia. Me and our coaching staff went down there. We learned a whole new system, and it's expanded our offense tremendously. Like we have guys that have the option routes, and he has the right make the right decision on do I want to hand it off or do I want to read the option route and things like that. And like I said, practice has been going amazing. 7-on-7, we lit it up, but you know that don't always transfer to Friday night. But I haven't looked this good in 7-on-7 ever in my career until this past year, and we look pretty good.
Oh, yeah, just what Coach Stewart said. I mean, we watched the film of the stuff they got from the coaching clinic in Georgia. I mean, I love it, and it kind of gives me some of the freedom to spread the ball around to all of our different guys, but it also, a lot of times, also gives me the option to just simply hand off the ball, because if you're going to try to stop all these wide receivers, we can also run the ball too. So I feel like our offense has a lot of tools that we can use this year.
I can add on to it real quick. I feel like sometimes, like, no offense, but with that question, I feel like that y'all don't think that offense could do the same thing like last year, because we missing like a Dominic Reed or a Tanner Lee or a DJ Curl. But honestly, I feel like this team is better than last year's team, and we could take it farther than they did.
And I know that's off of confidence, but I wholeheartedly agree. Like, the team camaraderie this year is unreal. Like, they all get along. You know what I'm saying? They're all brothers. They have a good, like, they practice on their own. You know, I blow it up to go home, and they stay 15 minutes later. Or they go watch film together, or they make their adjustments. I'm all about team camaraderie, and, you know, it's a special field. They work their butts off, and I just told them we was going to, like, a rehab center last week to ice their bodies and things like that. They had no clue. We took them to the wave pool. You know, we had the wave pool to ourselves. So the team building, the team camaraderie, and just how everyone gets along, I think we're going to, like I said, I keep saying it, we're going to surprise people, because Dominic Reed's gone, Tanner Lee's gone, DJ Curl's gone. That doesn't matter. These guys are still here, and they're working hard, so I'm excited for this season.
Good job. Thank you, Centennial High School. Up next, we'll bring up Fairview High School. Coach Hughes, come on up. One of the deans of coaches in WCS, not just in football, but in all of WCS. Coach, you'll sit here in the middle. Get the players on the ends here. Thank you guys for coming. Fairview High School last year, 8-4, second round of the playoffs. I know this time last year, Coach Hughes, I could feel it from him a little bit in his presentation here. There were some question marks. Hey, can we be like we've been? Well, 8-4 is a pretty darn good year, second round of the playoffs, and I know they're looking to build on it this year. Coach, if you would, give us some expectations, introduce who you have here with you, and then we'll take questions.
Well, our expectation, again, is to win the state championship, but I failed every year so far. So, but that'll continue to be our expectation. We want to win every game we play in. I have a starting junior guard, Sam Rude, all-region, one of our best offensive linemen with me. And I have Trayvon Murray, ran for over 1,000 yards last year, be our starting running back. And I'm really excited about this team this year. Last year we started off 0-2. And we rebounded to win the region. It was probably not one of the most talented teams I've had. I feel like we overachieved. So, and I want to do that again this year, but I feel really good and cautiously optimistic that our team is going to be a lot better than we were last year. Mainly because almost everyone we got back played last year. So we don't really have a lot of, we've added some pieces, but most of the people on the field have seen game time on Friday nights.
Coach Joe with 615 Preps. Trayvon kind of just burst on the scene. I remember he had one massive game last year. I think it was against Maplewood. How much growth did you see out of him from week one to where you finished the season?
Well, Trayvon's eyes opened up. He was running into the back of linemen for the first 4 weeks. And so we did a lot of things like it, and I made some rude comments, and don't be bringing that up. But if you're blind, it's really hard to run through the line because there's a lot of people there. So once he got his vision, he really took over, and he got stronger as the year went on. And we needed every one of those yards against Maplewood. We barely beat Maplewood, and Trayvon was on the sideline. What was that? Well, go ahead and you tell it.
So the story is, you know, I had 37 carries and everything. I came out for one play.
348 yards.
I'm breathing hard, and I'm like, Coach Hughes, give me one. What you need one for? You didn't do anything. I was like, see, I play both sides of the ball, so, you know, I just went back in the game because, you know, they need me out there. I'm the star player, so I got to be able to play both sides, and so that.
Yeah, when I see Trayvon on the sideline, it makes me nervous. So I tell him to get back in. But I will say this: his mom could have probably pressed child abuse charges for that game. They're giving the ball 37 times, and then he played every down on defense. So I would say that his jersey was as sweaty as anybody's when that was over.
Hey, Trayvon. Charles with the Williamson Herald. For both the players here, actually, too, Coach kind of talked about experience level and coming into this year and having some of that Friday Night Lights exposure for this whole team. Can you guys talk about that experience and what it does for you guys?
Yeah, so, last year it was all younger guys, and, now we have those younger guys who now have that confidence that they did not so much have last year. And so, on defense, we have some of our guys who played last year as sophomores who are now having to lead the defense too. And so, I'm there to help them out. We have Sam on offense there helping them out. And, Sam, he was a sophomore last year playing the varsity. So, all I have to say is that it helped us out so much this year. We all have that confidence now and everything. So, yeah.
I think building off what Trayvon said, at the beginning of the season last year, we had a rough start because I feel like a lot of our players, being young, we played real timid and shy. And then once we kind of settled in and realized it wasn't as big as we thought and we could hang with these teams, we had a really successful season.
And Charles, when we first started at East Hickman and I looked out there, I was like, this is my JV team. Like, it really was. Like, the year before, all those guys were JV. Now, they were good in JV, but Friday nights is different. And it took them a while to realize, okay, things are faster, hits are harder, you got to really get it in gear. And once they figured it out about midway through the season, I would say we had I don't want to call it, come to Jesus meeting after the loss to Waverly. And I said, listen, and y'all might remember this, but I said, we are going to win this region and we are going to be in the playoffs. And it's not going to be, I'm not going to have a losing season. I said, and you're either on board or you can leave right now. And
we all looked at him crazy.
Yeah, all of them. We were 0-2, and I was telling them we was going to win the region, and they were like, I could tell they didn't believe. I said, mark my words, y'all are going to win. And then we did. And but it was a lot to do with them getting out and saying, you know what, we've got to get better every day. And way past that this year, it's the same guys back again. We lost 5 seniors that helped us, and Wendell Billingsley being the hardest to replace. But everybody else has been there. So Coach has been really smooth so far. Everybody knows the terminology. They know what to do. So we're just getting after it.
Maurice Patton with Main Street Murray. Chris, fair to say the last couple of years haven't necessarily been to Fairview standard? And if so, what changes this time around?
Just like anything, players. That's what we're 7-3, we're 8-4. And before I got to Fairview, they probably would have built a statue of me if we could have been 7-3. And now it's like, oh, whoa, it's Fairview, we're 7-3. So the expectations are a little higher. And I want to win every game. I want to win a state championship for the community, for the kids, and I want it bad. And I feel like this group is coming along, but you still have to have those players. Here's the thing. The guys the last 2 years, no disrespect, they did everything I asked and did hard. It's just talent. And this group is more talented. And the group under them is more talented. So when you ask me that, I'm saying you're going to see better players on the field because that's how you win. Like, it really is. And it's no disrespect. These guys have grown up playing football. You go through years where you've heard up and down years. That's nothing to do with the coach. That's all to do with the players. Up and down years ain't because, I lost an assistant coach. We're not as good this year. That doesn't happen. I'm pretty sure these guys could go out and win 8 games this year without me. They don't need me, but they know how to play football. And I'm really excited. So, Mo, I hope we get back to the Fairview standards you believe in, because all the old heads at Fairview expect us to get back there too. So,
Trayvon, do you have to hear your dad tell you that he was better than you?
Unfortunately, I do all the time. And, he threw me into football at a young age. I was 6 or 7. The first time I went out on the field, I think I tackled my own teammate, which is kind of nice. I can't do that now. Our coach would look at me crazy. So, he kind of has an expectation of me. He's the one who helped me open my eyes last season. And that's why I kind of like, having a dad who did play football, who's experienced too. It helps me out so much. He knows the game. He knows, kind of those kind of secret things, like how to, some things that not everybody knows. And so, I just love when, he coaches me, but then after a bad game, when I get that conversation, that's when I'm like, okay, now you can hush a little bit.
Maurice, there's no question his dad was better than he is. Trayvon's really good, but his dad was special. Only thing, Mo, was his dad went to Page, so he wasn't quite as good for me. So Trayvon's way better for me.
Brad DeShiel with Dash to Sports. Do you having the first 3 games at home, does that help a little bit? I mean, is it, you got the hometown crowd, and how much is Fairview a hometown type team?
No. Yes, it helps having it home. The schedule's whacked. Like, look at our schedule. It's like nuts. You can't find anybody to want to play you unless they think they can beat you really bad.
Right.
And you don't want to play anybody that you think is going to beat you really bad. So then we're scheduling. Then you have to look at who's home, who's away. Work that out with them because, your first games are non-region. So those teams either need a home game or away game.
Right.
So last year our first 3 games were away, and we lost 2 of them. Now we're at home 3 games, so will it help us? Absolutely. Those East Hickman and Waverly's, now they got to come to us. Our winning percentage at Fairview is out. I imagine it would rival anybody in the county.
Right.
We win at home. And so them having to come to us is really good. And our town is excited this year. Like, we're having a cleanup day today. There's so much going on right now, but it's all around this team and getting ready to go. And again, like Mo said, the expectations are really high. Right. So we better not come out and lay an egg against East Hickman, because if we do, I'm going to be in a bad mood on Monday.
You got 2 games to come next 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, y'all be putting me on the hot seat already in week 1.
For Sam and Trayvon, what do you want to do differently this year that you didn't do last year? What are some things that you say, you know what, I can improve here, if I do this differently, that kind of thing, and give me that answer.
I would for sure say communication. Sometimes, like in Independence last year, it was their homecoming. It was loud, like so freaking loud. And we can barely hit the play calls. And so, that communication is key, or you run the wrong plays and stuff like that. So that's one of them. Also, just leading on the field. I'm an upperclassman now. So, we had Wendell last year telling us everywhere to go. So now I kind of have to know where everybody has to go, all the positions. And, somebody runs the wrong play, I'll be like, hey, that's okay. And play the next play, because like Coach says, you get 4 seconds to be down on yourself. Then you got to get up, because you can't keep your head down or we're going to lose that game.
I think I agree with Trayvon. Leadership needs to be a big part of this team. We lost Wendell. He was one of our big leaders. And then Coach Jackson really relies on me to help be vocal with the offensive line, because we have a really young offensive line, and just help them go, tell them who to block, who to get, all that stuff.
Hey, our O-line, winning football games, it starts up front, the O-line and D-line. And we are bigger than a normal Fairview team this year. Like, our lines are going to look like the lines you see around the county. I think we average about 260, 275 on the O-line and D-line, which is way different than Fairview teams in the past. I had tough kids, but they were 180. So, when you're going against a 280 tough kid, we lost. So this year I feel like with Sam, he's just a junior, and he's strong. In the weight room, like, just our average maxes this year for the same guys are average of 40 pounds. So we're talking about them got bigger and stronger, so now we got to put it on the field.
Coach, Tom Krager, Tennessean, and excuse me if you touched on this in the opening statement, I had to step out for a minute. Contract year. Any chance that we talk to Paige and bring back the rivalry game back? Is that in the works at all, or is it those days kind of over?
I'll talk to them, but till they quit getting them 5-star recruits all the time, they're probably not going to get to play us unless we get them in and we grow. I really want to give my kids a chance to play against teams in the county, but I want it to be not a bloodbath. You don't want to get destroyed. And let's be honest, Paige is an elite team right now. Been to state championship 3 times in a row. I'm a way better coach than Rathbone, but he's got way better players, and that's what it comes down to. I promise you, if you gave me his team and you give him mine, the result's going to be real similar. So here's the thing. I'm open to whatever. We'll look. I don't know who's going to play us and who's not. So right now, that's something I would consider. In fact, my guys want to do it. Like, it's crazy. Trayvon goes, you think we can do the battle? I'm saying, you're not even going to be here. You can't help me. Like, I'm going to leave me here and say, play everybody. Let's just play Brentwood, Franklin, Page, Ravenwood, everybody. But I do think those games help us. Like Independence, they beat us, but we hung with them for a half. That's what usually happened. We played Ravenwood one year. It was 7-7 halftime. We ended up getting beat by 40. But we can play with them for a while, Tom. It's the numbers. If you look at it, I've got 11 kids like theirs, but they got 40 like my 11. So by the third quarter, You know, like Trayvon, he can't do 37 carries against Page. He won't be playing the next week. So yeah, it's like I just said, scheduling is hard. So nothing's out of the question. And I know Rathbone would like to do that, and I know Darren would like to do that. So we'll think about it. Again, it's got to be the right time and everything, because you've got to think about load management, kids staying healthy, when the loss will occur or the win will occur, because it affects the team morale. So anything's possible. You know, Dumb and Dumber, there's a chance.
Kind of following up on that, Sam and Trayvon, I've often said Fairview's the best kept football secret in Williamson County. You guys are out on the west side. Do you ever feel a little overlooked, number one? And Coach Hughes, Fairview is growing quickly. There's a real possibility.
Everybody tells me that. Where's the kids? Where are those players?
Okay, fair enough. I'm just saying, but
you know how much a home costs in Fairview? A guy with 4 good football players can't afford it.
Yeah, well, but that's kind of where I'm heading. As it grows, and this does happen, and you know it's coming, you're going to wind up. It's going to go from being the 9 schools in Fairview to being the 10 schools.
I know, right? When I get fired, we're going to be a dominant powerhouse, and I appreciate you bringing that up because you know I'm getting old. So when I get gone, we're going to be 6A, and we're going to have all these kids, and y'all going to be talking to somebody else and goes, Coach, you never could get it there like y'all got it. So,
but seriously, you two, do you guys ever feel overlooked?
I would say I feel overlooked a little bit. You know, being a smaller Wilco school, everybody's like, okay, they're easy to beat, and I kind of think that's what Independence thought. And you know, that game we did lose and everything, but our team, we didn't really think of it as a loss, really. You know, we stuck in there, and we were really surprised by the end results. I mean, we didn't win on the schedule, but in our hearts, we really did win. And our community does help us out a lot, and that's what I love about Fairview, that small town community. You know, we all come together for those games. Like, the whole entire town comes to every football game. The stands are packed. It's loud and everything, you know. I'm just saying, I just think that until we, you know, expand a lot more, I think we will continue to get overlooked.
The Indy student body was different. Our kids love playing there because of the independent student section. So our kids at Fairview got to see that because we have a good student section, but not to that level. What do you think, Sam?
Trayvon's absolutely right. As soon as we rolled into Independence, we looked up in their stands, and some of the freshmen last year were like, are we playing at a college or a high school? Because they've never been exposed to crowds that big and student bodies like that. And it was just a really good feeling to, like, play in front of that many people.
It was good for our kids, yeah. And listen, I still pull the poor Fairview card. But it's really hard to pull the poor Fairview card when Waverly rolls into our turf field and said, I'm having a lot of trouble feeling bad for you right now. So, you know, I guess I'd rather be the one forgotten about Williams County than be the one everybody's talking about in another county. So,
give them a hand for Fairview High School. Good job, gentlemen.
Good luck to Coach Rathbone and the Patriots.
Thanks, Coach. Next up, Page High School. If you guys will make your way up here, Coach Rathbone, again, one of the deans of coaches in WCS. Everyone knows that Page High School, 3 consecutive state championship trips. Come over here, one of you go over here. You each will have a mic too. Coach in the middle there. Coach Rathbone and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about making that state championship game and how impressive it is. 3 straight trips to that game, and he always starts with, we got to finish the job. I know they're planning on doing that this year. Again, 13-2 last year, state runner-up. Coach, if you would, give us some thoughts on the season here starting off, and then introduce who you have with you, and then we'll take questions from the media. Page High School. Thanks, Coach, for being here.
Thank you. First of all, it's the first time Coach Hughes has ever wished Page High School luck, so I mean that's a rarity. But you know, we're excited about this year. We felt like we left one game out on the field last year that we should have won. We felt like we should be the state champions this year, to be honest with you. So for me, it's been a very rough off season. You know, it's been a very, very tumultuous time, and you learn a lot from those experiences, and you learn a lot about who is truly with you and who is truly there for the right reasons and who truly wants to be what we should be about as coaches, which is making these young men become better young men, making them become better productive members of society and helping them grow and achieve their dreams and all this stuff. So we're excited about this season coming in. Obviously, I got Eric here. Y'all know him. He's kind of like the media darling. I tease him about that all the time. If his quarterback, he'd be perfect. He gets so much attention. But he's obviously a great player. He started 45 games already, so hopefully he gets through his season and he's up to 60 and can't really play more than 60 games in a 4-year career. And Ains, Eric, by the way, a Louisville commit. We got Ains, who moved in his sophomore year, so he'll be starting he started 30 games, if my math is right, 30 games, so we're going to get him up to 45 games hopefully this year, and he's a Wisconsin commit. Both these guys, I can't say enough about them as far as their character. I mean, they are true leaders, and, I could get up here and go on all day long about these two guys, and they're very different personalities, very different ways of approaching the game. But, where I'm the biggest fan of these two is the way they approach life, and that they go out and they really talk to every kid in the school, and they're there for every kid in the school, and they volunteer for everything. And I think that's symbolic to what we are at Page High School. And, I tell the kids, and I remember telling the flag football team back in the spring, to me, Page is more than just a place on the map. It's a place in your heart, and it's a place where these kids can always come back to and be a part of and work out, lift, whatever. And these guys kind of embody that, and they're very symbolic of that perception. I just can't say enough good things about them. And we got others on the team too, but these are the two that are here with me, and I couldn't ask to be surrounded by two better kids.
Joe is 615 Preps. Coach, I think we all just kind of assume Page defense is going to be probably the strength of this team this year, thanks to guys like these and everybody else you have coming back. Offensively, what can we expect to see out of the team this year?
Well, defensively was the strength of the team last year. I mean, to be honest with you, we got 8 starters back on defense, and last year the defense set up a lot of our offensive possessions. Anytime we kick off, we start them at the 20. They get 3 or 4 yards, they punt. In high school, you're probably going to get the ball back around 45, 50-yard line. Makes that short field. And if you look at the numbers and the statistics, your chances of scoring points goes way up if you start around that 50-yard line. So offensively this year, we are going to be a little different. We don't have that quarterback that has the experience of slinging it all over the field. We got 3 or 4 starters back. We are going to be big up front. I think we will be very good up front. But obviously we lost Cunningham, so now we got to find a running back as well. The best running back on the team is right here. But how much do we play him on offense that hurts defense? Okay, another running back that could help us right here. But again, he's rushing that passer. You've seen him play. He's 100% every single defensive play, which he should be. So how much does it bring the defense down if we throw him in the backfield or him in the backfield? So we got to be smart in how we approach it. What we're truly going to be offensively remains to be seen. We do have a transfer quarterback, Mitchell Grandjean, that come in that can really run the ball. We know Weebush can run the ball, and we have some talent back there. We have some young talent back there, but they haven't done it. So we're going to have to lean heavily on the O-line and kind of create plays up front and hopefully kind of grind it out a little bit for a while.
Coach Tom Krager with the Tennessean. You touched on the quarterback situation. 3rd new starter in 3 years, I believe. As a coach, how tough is it to go that many years in a row with a brand new signal caller?
Well, it's good and bad. It'd be nice to have started a freshman, McNamara, that first year, if he'd been a freshman, and just go for the next 4 years with him. But that's not a luxury we have. So the good part of it is that at least those guys are in the rotation and they're getting that experience and they're learning the system and all that stuff, and then they're getting up to their senior year and we're putting a ready-to-play guy in. The bad side is kind of what everybody knows. I mean, how are they going to respond? How are they going to play? Are they going to be able to stand up to the pressure of high school? And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of pressure in high school. That's more now than there ever has been before. So it's the bad of it is, what do we have? And that's why we got to count on some leaders like these two to, we're going to have some rough patches. We're going to have some rough moments, especially offensively. but we gotta keep our eye on the prize and maintain that goal. And these guys have got to lead us to that.
Coach, 3 straight championship game appearances, 3 straight silver balls. Do you feel any pressure? Do players feel any pressure to say, hey, it's time to go back and finish it off this year? Obviously, you came within 1 play last year. I mean, do you think about that? Say, man, we are so close. Let's finish it off this year.
Man, do I think about that? I can promise you that there's, and I'm not exaggerating, 5-6 days a week I will wake up in the middle of the night thinking about what we could have done differently in that state championship game. It's like a haunted house for me. It haunts me. You know, there was a lot of mistakes made in that game. We played a team that did not have 1 penalty all game long, not 1. You know, so we gotta realize we gotta play to that exceptionalism and be better. So I don't think these guys are feeling pressure, because all they can do is play football. Control what you can control. You can control your body, how hard you work in the weight room, how big you get, how strong you are, how fast you are. But you're not going to control what happens next week. You can prepare for what is going to happen next week, but you can't control it. So all these guys can do is do their job. I can't have Eric trying to do too much. I can't have him getting out of his pass rush lane and the quarterback getting outside of him and getting yards. I can't have B, you know, thinking he's got to come up and stop every play if he's supposed to drop in that curl to hook. So, I mean, and these guys are really good at being coachable and understanding the system. So I'm not too worried about that. My concern about them is listen, they got a big career coming in front of them. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised 5-6 years ago these guys are playing in the NFL. But don't wish away your high school career. You know, you're only a kid once. These kids here in 6 more months will be at Wisconsin and Louisville. So they got 6 more months of being a kid. And that's what I want them to enjoy every single minute. And I know they see what's out in front of them. But to me, you can never get this back. This is what it's about. There's nothing like high school football. There's nothing like being a kid. There's nothing. We all know that. We're old. We know it. So I want them to understand that. And I try to remind them about that regularly so that they enjoy this experience, because it's not life or death. As bad as that state championship hurt last year, as much as it haunts me, you know, yesterday we had kids driving down to a funeral of a kid that lost his dad on an accident. That's real life. Okay, that's real life. That's what's important. The next 6 months, them enjoying their 6 months and enjoy being a kid, all these kids, to me, that's what's important. Hopefully we win it, but if we don't, I want them to have the experience. I want them to understand that you're only here once. Enjoy it while you're here.
Coach Joe Williams, WAKM. It's funny that you went there, because my question was for Eric. You're a senior. See, that's disgusting to me. I remember the first time I covered you as a freshman, and it's impossible for me to believe that you're a senior. Has the time gone as quickly for you as watching you as it has for me? I'm amazed that it's been 3 years going on 4.
Going into it all, I was always told time's going to fly, especially starting out as a freshman and playing 45 games now. It's definitely been a toll on me, and just being able to experience so many different seniors. I'm still in contact with Aiden Lanier and Jake McNamara from my freshman year. They're still brothers to me, but it's definitely flown by a lot faster than I thought it would, and I think this senior season is going to fly by even faster.
Well, that was my next question. How do you guys try to slow that down a little bit? Do you take an extra moment every game, or will you take an extra moment every game, maybe before the game, just to soak things in? How do you slow that down?
I would definitely say there's a lot more moments in practice where me personally, I take a step back and just realize what all we have. And then even last year, there would be times that I would, in pregame, just look up in the stands and look up at the atmosphere we have. Because when I came in as a freshman, we didn't have that big fan base like we do now and that we've built. And schools, especially, and alumni that come in, they want to see winning. And to bring that to Page starting out in my freshman year, and to see the growth of our student section, of alumni coming back, it's really special to us.
Yeah, pregame and like just in practice and stuff, I try to enjoy every moment and I don't take it for granted.
Eric, Coach Bone, Maurice Patton with Main Street Murray. To follow up on what you just said, Eric, you know, you were right there on the front of this. 45 games you've played in your career. Page football has been transformed. What does that mean to you to have been such a key part of that?
It's definitely means a lot to me. For me to be as leader freshman year, coming into senior year, and just still leading how I've always led. It's not always perfect, it's not always good, but I'm gonna give my all to Page football, and I think that's the difference between us and a lot of other teams. Is we're all together, and some of the guys that I've been playing with, like Brennan, we've been playing since little pee-wee ball. Like, our relationship's a lot stronger than most other teams, and we have that all throughout our senior class, and especially with some of the younger guys, especially on our defense, getting 8 guys back. It's just a lot of bonding that we've had, and we know how each other plays.
Coach, Page football has gone from being the hunter to the hunted. How has that been reflected, you know, in the locker room in practice on Friday nights?
So we have I'm going to answer your last question too, by the way, about how do they enjoy the moment. And I think I do a pretty good job. I tell them most coaches don't want them looking up in the stands. Don't be looking at dad. Don't be looking at mom. And I encourage them to do that. You know, go out there and find your mom and dad, wave at them, wink at them, let them know everything's going to be okay, because they're probably up there crying. You know, as far as being the hunted, you know, I always see us as being the hunters. We make our defense a shirt. It's a black shirt, and it has a kangaroo on the back, which they find funny, but kangaroo is a deadly animal. I don't know if y'all know, kangaroos pull their prey down in the water and drown their prey, you know, when they get in a fight. But across the front it says Predator. It's got a picture of the Predator, the movie, and it says Predator. And that's what our defense lives by. We're going to be predators. We're going to go after the predators. And I asked B, I said, well, I'm going to come up with a shirt for offense. And he said, what are you going to put, a rabbit? Or prey? You know, so I mean, so what I did was I came up with, or I didn't come up with, I'm a big Cobra Kai fan. So I took the Page logo and put it around that Cobra Kai, strike fast, strike hard, no mercy, that kind of stuff. So, we're having some fun with it. But I remember when I was first hired, it was just get us to the playoffs, and then it was just get us a home playoff game, then get us to the second round, and now we're talking about state championships. You know, the expectations continue to rise. You know, and I come in after the state championship game last year, and there's a parent letter to Dr. Hill signed by 5 groups of parents want me fired, you know, because we lost the state championship game. But my goal never remains the same, never changes, is be a good influence, be a good role model for these kids. If I'm sitting here at Mojos, not that I think anything's wrong with it, and I'm preaching to these kids, they don't need to be going out and drinking. They will never walk in and see me, you know, drinking a beer. Ever. Ever will they see that. Because I believe that strongly in being a role model for these kids. Page has changed. If you haven't been by it lately, go by it. It's different. It's a beautiful place. But it's still a place that's deep in my heart that I love. I want these kids to love it. I love these kids. I'm not afraid to tell them. I don't have to be a hard butt all the time and act like I'm some tough, mean guy that tries to scare them. I don't want to scare them. I want them to know they can come to me when they have a problem. So even though Page has changed, the expectations have changed, I'm still going to be the same person I am until Dr. Hill tells me she don't want me anymore. So, and if that happens, then I'll hopefully end up somewhere else teaching that same message. No, so just to make sure we get that story straight, Coach Temple is our defensive coordinator, and every Thursday at walkthrough he comes up with a story of a predator, of a different animal. He came up with kangaroo one day, and because I told him, I got my kids at home believing that I'm scared of kangaroos, which I'm not real. I don't even know anything about them. Other than they carry their babies around in some pouch, which I feel like that's weird. But I mean, so anyway, I mean, he tells a different story. The kangaroo one was the one that kind of took with these guys, and they laughed and they enjoyed it. So, you know, to surprise them, we put the kangaroo on back of the shirts this year.
KJ 615 Preps. This is for the players. With all the experience you guys have going into this season, where are you guys most confident when it comes to leading the defense?
This year, definitely, I'm going to be more of a vocal leader on the field and off the field. Just even personally throughout other players' lives, I'm going to be more of a leader, not just on the field, within the plays and stuff.
My role this year is more of leading by example, because I know my backup's very young and he has a lot of room to grow. So my biggest thing is taking over the entire D-line and showing how we do things step by step, but also giving it 110% effort. And if you're going to mess up with 110% effort. Don't ever quit.
Brendan, we talked after the state championship game, and obviously an emotional time, and I kind of asked you, how do you take a step forward, and your whole demeanor changed, and you're already looking towards this season. For you, what's this offseason been like, and, what kind of improvements have you made since the end of last year?
Yeah, the offseason has just been a nonstop grind, not just for me personally, but throughout the whole team. We all want the same thing. We want that gold ball. I believe I told you we're going to win it this year. I truly believe that. And, just throughout this offseason, I've been just trying to better my game, better my pass rush, just working on, perfecting my technique.
Coach Rothbone, I guess this is for you or your players, whichever one you want to take. Do you like having your region opponents at the back half of the schedule, or would you rather have them more up front?
To me, I don't think it really matters that much. I think it lets us grow in the beginning of the year and see what all we have and what all we need to change before we get into that region play. I know we have our back two schedule with Centennial and then Nolensville. I think the first half of our year, especially having Giles County come to us this year and then Indy come to us and then go into Franklin, which they're supposed to be a good team this year, I think that allows us to grow a lot and see what all we have on the team and see what we need to work on before we get into the deep region.
I definitely like having it at the back half of the schedule because I feel like in the second half of the season, this is just me personally, I feel like we're a stronger team than we are at the beginning of the season.
I personally don't care. You got to play them at some point, so I don't care if it's at the beginning or at the end. Let's just play.
Anybody else?
Now, KJ, you were the one that voted Page one of the best atmospheres, right? That's what I'm talking about.
I went to Beach. My first pick was Beach, but
nobody's perfect, so that's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys did have a great atmosphere when I went last year for a playoff game. That was my first time ever at Page, and I looked at Eric and I was like, "Who the heck is this kid? Never heard of him, never seen him." So that was my first experience, and then the defense had like 14 sacks that game, so I knew who he was after that.
Well, just so you know, Coach Joins had predicted us and Beach in the semis this year, so we may be going to Shackle Island. So it'd be a good trip for us.
Good job. Thank you, Page High School. Good job. Great job, Coach Rathbone. Up next, we'll have Nolensville High School. We can round up Coach Derrick out there. As Nolensville makes their way to the stage, Kyle, if you'll get Coach Derrick, yep, as they make their way to the stage here, do want to thank the members of the media who are here today. Can't have Football Media Day or any other media day without members of the media, so we certainly appreciate you being here. We appreciate the factory for making this thing happen for us. Come on up, Coach. You'll sit in the middle, two players on the ends. We appreciate them hosting us once again. Walker Chevrolet for all they do for the district. Mr. Tate Matthews, Matthews Team Sports, and Adidas. Tate had his Saturday show on there right before we got started. That seemed to be a big hit with our coaches as well as the folks here coming through the factory. Coach Derrick is up for Nolensville High School. They finished last year at 8-3. I think because of the ending, they were disappointed first round of the playoffs. Coach won't make excuses. They had some tough injuries there towards the end of the season, but it really, I don't think, tells the real story about what kind of season they had last year. Obviously, we were proud of Page High School for making it all the way to the championship game in 5A. Centennial High School, Page eliminates Centennial in the quarterfinals, but Nolensville going into the playoffs, if they were full strength, I'll say it, Coach, they would have been in that mix as well. So they've built something really special out at Nolensville. The atmosphere is great there. It was the new school for a while. We don't even think of it that way anymore. Great athletic program, great school. Coach Derrick's a big part of that. Coach, if you would, give us a little introduction in terms of what the expectations are this season. Introduce who you have with you, and then we'll take questions from the media. Coach Derrick, Nolensville High School.
All right, thank you, Darren. And thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you for everything y'all do for high school football and our student athletes. Darren gave a pretty good intro there about our season last year and kind of how that went. Just kind of want to kind of reiterate some of the things he said. As he mentioned, we were 8-3. Kind of faced some adversity down the stretch there, and some things didn't go our way in those last 2-3 couple ball games. But again, no excuses. Got beat in the playoff game, first round of Tullahoma, and that's actually the first time that we've lost a first round playoff game, which was rather disappointing. So I think kind of the way the season ended and that playoff game has kind of fueled our team in the off season all the way to now. I think that that's something that we can use as motivation going forward. Coming off of last year's team, we returned 9 starters, 4 on defense, 5 on offense. So in a very similar situation that we were last year as far as the returners that we had. So there's a lot of opportunity on our football team, a lot of chances for people to step up. And starting practice last week, we started that process, evaluating different players and trying to get the best 11 that we can get in all 3 phases on the field. 2 of those 9 starters I have here with me today. Over here I have Nolan Tenney's, started at defensive end for us last year. Will probably play some on the offensive line as well this year. Over here we have Landon Smotherman. Landon is kind of the Swiss Army knife of our football team, if you will. Plays slot receiver for us. He's was our holder, our punt returner. Did a little punting last year. Very athletic player. Can do a lot of things for us. So two great young men and 2 really good football players that we have here today. And we're excited about the season. We're excited to represent Nolensville High School here today. With that, we'll open up for questions.
Joe with 615 Preps. Coach, you mentioned you only have 9 returning starters. Who are some younger guys maybe that got some valuable play and experience last year that you expect to take that next step forward? I'm talking maybe like an Oliver Bender, guys like him. Who are some of those guys?
Sure. Obviously Oliver, he was our leading receiver through the first 3-4 ball games. I don't think we expected that from him as a sophomore last year. Josh Hicks was a starting corner for us last year as a sophomore, and he'll probably play some running back for us too this year. Being a sophomore and starting on defense, we really didn't want to put a heavy load on him as being a 2-way guy for us. So I think those are 2 that stick out in the top of my mind right off the bat. And then you got some other not young guys, but maybe some guys that have waited their turn, like a Jonah Osborne or a Ben Leakchey or a Jimmy Marzullo, just other guys that just have played freshman, played JV, and now it's their senior year, and they may have an opportunity to step up. So I think those, off the top of my head, those are the guys that I think have an opportunity to step up for us.
Coach KJ from 615 Preps, you talked about injuries. How do you plan on limiting those and keeping the guys healthy this year?
Yeah, I think we try to be smart, man. Obviously, when you football's a physical game, right? So you got to practice physical, but I think having a fine line about being physical, when to be physical. How you practice, how long you practice. As the season goes on, it's a long season, maybe cutting back practice times towards the end of the season. I think those are all the things that we kind of consider. But again, sometimes injuries, they're just going to happen. We try to do our best to prevent them and keep our players safe. But, football's a physical game, and, those things happen.
For the players, obviously you guys play in a brutal region, just so many good teams. When you look at your non-region schedule, though, with Rockvale, Antioch, Summit, you guys are going to be battle tested should you come postseason. How well do you think that's going to prepare you to make another run like we typically see Nolensville make?
Well, I think our philosophy on scheduling is obviously you want to have some pretty good balance to where you're not getting yourself too banged up, but you want to have those competitive games. And I think our schedule is very, very competitive. You mentioned Rockvale, Antioch. I think they're going to be a really good football team this year. And then in our region, you got obviously Page and Centennial, and then last year Hillsborough was a tough game for us. And I tell you what they're doing out there at Lawson, Coach Lilly got tremendous amount of respect for him as a coach and as a person, but they're doing a great job. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough schedule, but should we be fortunate enough, and it is our goal every year to make the playoffs, but so should we be fortunate enough to get in the playoffs, I think playing a schedule like we have will be beneficial.
Hey, Coach. Charles with the Williamson Herald here. I know we're just, getting underway here a little bit, but can you kind of break down the identity you might have figured out with these guys so far and what you're working for, or some of the insight here on this team as a whole?
Yeah, we're still working on that identity. I know I say it every year, and it's kind of a cliche, but each team has to create its own identity. I told them just actually the other day, it doesn't matter what happened in 2020 or 2022 or even last year. It's all about what this team is going to be about, and it's really not up to me, honestly, not up to the coaches. We're going to lead, and we're going to put them in the positions that we feel like we need to for them to be successful, but they have to make a decision each and every day to show up and create the type of identity that we want to have. But I think for us to be successful, we're going to have to be smart, we're going to have to be disciplined, and we're going to have to be tough. We play, as we just mentioned, a tough schedule, a physical schedule, so we're going to have to be both mentally and physically tough. We're going to have to be focused and play with discipline, and then we're going to have to play really, really hard.
Nolan and Landon, do you guys speak a little bit on the leadership role that you guys are trying to provide this season for this team?
Well, I know we have a lot of people trying to step up, trying to do their job, and I think it's really important to have some of the older guys, and especially the people that are out on the field, kind of lead them, tell them what to do, tell them what not to do, and just kind of take control of the locker room. You don't want too much going on, but you still want to have a fun environment. So just have them, point them in the right direction, but not force them into anything.
I think that we have some seniors who, aren't have that role as a leader, but definitely need to know that they're being looked up to. I can think of multiple examples of seniors that, think that just because they're not called a leader or not on the leadership council that we have, that they don't need to, they're not looked up to by younger kids, and I just think that once we figure out those guys who can step up and also lead with us, then it's going to make it a lot easier for us. So,
Brad, I'm Brad DeShield with Dash to Sports. Coach, have you got a starting quarterback? You have that in place, and I know there's key pieces. You got to have that offense run. Somebody's got to run that offense. Have you got that worked out? Still competition going on there?
We're still working on it, still working through it. Obviously, through 5 practices last week, and honestly, I could see it going all the way up to the first week of the season. We're going to evaluate all of those guys as much as we can to try to get as much data and information to make the best decision for our football team. And so that competition is still ongoing.
I want you to, all three of you, if you will, just describe what went through your mind after that loss against Tullahoma, and what will that do to kind of kickstart this season?
We had a lot of adversity, like Coach said, at the end of the year. Losing the first round of playoffs is never what we intended to happen or wanted to, but there was a lot of things that we can control in that game that we didn't execute on. There was a lot of missed plays, just like not really working together as a team. I think maybe part of that could have been just because of so many injuries. We're having different people come in filling different roles that they're not used to. But it's still kind of like an execution thing for us. Like, we had chances and opportunities to win that Tullahoma game, and we just didn't take advantage of them. And that's the one thing that
I would say that I was pretty disappointed in how the season ended. I knew that we could play better than how we did. But I'm still proud of how we fought. We didn't give up on any play. We were in there to, just about the last snap. I think it just comes back to, the adversity that we face. We can't let it, overcome our team. It's just we got to keep going on. Next person, next man up, and just keep fighting, every single play.
Coach Tom Krager, Tennessean. Mentioned this with Coach Rathbone, with Paige, who's starting a third straight year with a new quarterback for you, third straight year with a new quarterback. What changes with the offense, if anything, or is it still, hey, you guys know the system? What's it like? Having 3 straight years, 3 different ones.
Yeah, I think that you have your scheme and your philosophy offensively, and I think you and I talked about this at the other media today. But it all starts with a quarterback. You want to have your philosophy and your scheme, and you're going to run what you run. You're going to do what you believe in, but at the same time, you got to kind of cater it to the skill set of your quarterback. And I think it all starts with the quarterback. So what does he feel comfortable doing? What does he have confidence in? And then what is his skill set? Is he a runner? Is he a dual threat? Does he like to sit in the pocket? So I think you're gonna kind of do what you do, but you're gonna cater it to whoever your quarterback is.
I think it is an extra week of practice before you got the pads on. It seems like later than normal. What have you guys taken advantage of that? Is it a good thing? Maybe an extra week with, just getting to know each other before you put the pads on.
Yeah, just an extra week in the weight room. An extra week to get some 7-on-7 work in if you want to. But I kind of liked it better last year with the way the calendar fell. Not having as many weeks before the actual practice starts, but it is what it is.
Can you talk about the region? I mean, obviously it's a tough one. We got Page and Centennial and yourself and Hillsboro, who seems to be on an uptick, and then I think James Lawson maybe surprised some people for being a first-year school. How battle tested in a way? I think the TSPLA has done these schedules is really back heavy.
Yeah.
Is it tougher? Is it good playing the most important games at the back end, or would you rather have a couple of them?
I mean, obviously we have Page on the back end, so that's a big region game. Then we got Lawson on the back end, but and like as you mentioned in our region, I think it's a challenging region. Like I said earlier, I mean, we got Centennial and Page. Very familiar with them being in the same county. And then last year, Hillsboro was a tough game for us at our place. We got to go there this year. Coach Lilly's doing a great job at Lawson. So every week's going to be a challenge for us. And again, hopefully those challenges we can come out on top in those games, and it'll make us better prepared for the playoffs.
Coach, the first day of practice in pads, Monday. What do you, as a coach, what are you looking for on day one? And is how much of it is just keeping people healthy and upright, and how much of it is I want to see which players are going to be physical, which ones are going to have a little bit of a nasty streak on it. I mean, what's it like for you, day one in pads?
You want to see who's going to be physical. That's something we've talked about all this week, and that's something we'll continue to preach on when we get into full pads. But obviously, being physical in practice, you want to be physical, but also understanding how to practice, right? Staying off the ground. We don't ever tackle to the ground. We want to keep everybody safe, take care of our own players. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You want to really practice physical, but you want to keep everybody healthy. So trying to find that fine line of how you're going to practice and be physical and take care of everybody. But yeah, definitely want to see what we're going to do as far as getting the pads popping next week when we put the full gear on.
What do you think of your passing game the last couple of weeks with 7-on-7? Are you happy?
Yeah. Done a lot of really good things. I think obviously as the further we go along and we get out of the 7-on-7 and into more team settings, continuing to develop that rhythm and that timing and the cohesion between the receivers and whoever the quarterback's going to be, I think that'll be crucial for us going forward.
Charlie Bateman, Williamson Herald. Coach Derek, Nolensville is a really growing area. Do you feel like it's not that long before your team becomes a 6A school?
It'll happen at some point. I don't know if it'll be the next couple years, but our school's built to be 6A numbers and the way that Nolensville's growing. Obviously, I think next 2, 3, 4 years maybe that will eventually be bumped up to 6A. Yeah.
Coach, you don't think this next classification cycle, the numbers are still?
It's going to be really close, Tom. It's going to be really close.
Starting with you for the guys here, looking and playing against this region, these county schools a little bit. Can you guys speak on just the motivation you get from that, and a measuring stick like this rivalry with the Page? I mean, these guys are playing in that last game 3 straight seasons like this. What's that do for your guys' motivation? How do you kind of feed off of it?
I mean, obviously, we have a tough schedule, and the motivation kind of behind it is just, never quitting. Even, as Coach Derek was saying, you know, when you get farther into the season and we're having these tougher opponents, it can get hard on the body and just like on the players themselves. Like, you know, that's when injuries are, you know, more, you know, apparent to happen. But I mean, I think what they have at Page right now is probably like one of the best, you know, programs I've seen in a while. And, you know, going up against those guys, you know, I've had a lot of good friends that go there, a lot of teammates that, you know, have switched to that school. And, you know, just going up against them is honestly the motivation, you know, having like the friendly competition and like the drive to want to win those games. That's what I kind of, you know, think about when I'm playing in those games. So
I'd say that I'm pretty excited to play these, you know, tough teams. People think that, you know, we're going to have to prove ourselves, and like I know we are, just kind of show, you know, how we've grown from the past season. But I think it's really just exciting to show everybody who we are. We're not, you know, the same team as last year and not the same team, you know, the year before that. We're our own team. We just got to prove it every time we play.
Good. All right. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate you being here. Go Knights.
Thank you, Nolensville High School. Good job. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it, man. Next up, we'll have Coach Hester in Ravenwood High School. As Coach makes his way up here, Ravenwood last year, 9-4. State quarterfinals, lost to Brentwood High School. That was 2 losses to Brentwood during the season last year. First 2, you guys can ask him about this, to Brentwood High School during Coach Hester's tenure. Obviously, Brentwood had a great team. Coach, you'll be in the middle, guys on the side. Brentwood, in the next round, the semis, lost to the eventual state champion. Coach has a lot back. I think it was the last couple years been a little bit, I say building, they won 9 games last year. But this year is a team a lot of people are obviously talking about here in the preseason. I know Coach Hester is very excited about this team and what they can do, obviously playing in a great league. I've got a great schedule. They start off with a team that a lot of you will recognize. I know they're excited about that. And one thing I've always appreciated about Coach Hester, and you can say this for most of our coaches in WCS, all comers. He'll play whoever wants to play, not only in this area, but outside the area as well. And the results, I think, have a lot to do with that mindset. Coach, if you would, give a little preview of the season, what the expectations are, talk about who's with you here, and then we'll take questions from the media. Again, Coach Will Hester, Ravenwood High School.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having us. Always a special event. I remember the first one of these. I think we were opening Nolensville High School, or the first or second year, and it was in the afternoon on a Friday and about 430 degrees out there. So such a blessing to be indoors and in the air conditioning today. But, you know, not to run from expectations, things at Ravenwood High School, the expectations are high right now. You know, people expect us to perform at a certain level and compete for championships both in the region and across the state. So we accept that. We look at it as a privilege, the opportunity to have those expectations and try to beat those. We got 28 wonderful seniors this year. I think it's some of the best leadership that I've had in my 24 years of doing this. So I'm excited to see where our seniors take us this year. We've got 2 of those guys with us. To my left here is Elliot Hampton. Elliot will wear number 3 for us this year and play some defensive end and some tight end for us in certain packages, which is new this year. But Elliot is currently committed to Cornell, so way smarter than I am. So I'll let Elliot talk about how smart he is here in a second. Then to my right is Patrick Sullivan. Patrick plays tight end for us and has, you know, basically going on his 3rd year playing a significant time, 2 years as the starter for sure. And Patrick's another super smart guy, a lot of interest from Ivy-type schools as well as he's trying to make his college decision. Excited about this senior class. I think we'll end up with 12 guys out of our 28 that go on to play college football. Some of you guys know the names of Donovan Starr, currently committed to Auburn University. Kyle Larkin and Ben Hubbard both have a bunch of Division I offers. Ben's currently committed to Middle Tennessee State. And, we've mentioned these two guys and their opportunities. We got other guys like, Lane Summerall and Max Kemple, and, the list goes on and on of guys that are going to have a chance to play. So excited about that, excited about the season, opening it up to what you guys have for us. Question was.
Joe with 615 Preps. Coach, you have kind of a great situation at quarterback with Femi, really experienced now after last year, Maverick coming back. How have those two guys looked here in the offseason, and what are you expecting them out of them in 2024?
I think, we're blessed with two of the better quarterbacks in our league that happen to both be on our roster, right? So the difficulty is going to be making a decision on who's going to take those reps. And, do we play both of them? Do we ride with one guy? How does that look like? We're still working through that process. I would say through the spring and the first part of the summer, both of them have looked pretty unbelievable. Super excited about what that holds, but now we're 2 days in to wearing, or 3 days into wearing shoulder pads. The real football is beginning. Everybody looks good throwing when there's no threat of getting hit. Only the stopwatch can sack you, right? And now you got people like Elliott running at you. Obviously, it changes things. So, we got 4 preseason games. That'll tell a lot of the tale. We all got to get through that healthy, right? That's a big key. You probably heard that 1,000 times today. But we are blessed with two what we would call starter-level quarterbacks.
You get Alcoa again week 1, obviously last year. We all know about Alcoa, 9-time defending state champions. For the players, we know they're a 3A school, but they play like a 5, 6A. How much of a test is that, and what can you expect to see out of the Tornadoes week 1?
Well, I think we have a great team, and we are going to put up an absolutely amazing fight on both sides of the ball this year. It's going to be a really good game. It's going to really see how we're going to go into the season, and it's a great test for us.
Yeah, no, last year it was a very young team, and we had 5 senior starters, and going through that was the first time we'd all play together in this type of Friday night atmosphere. And so I think this year it's a totally different ball game. A lot of guys coming back. It's going to be a great test to see where we're at. I think these 4 preseason games before are also going to prepare us for that. And, I'm truly excited for what's to come in Knoxville, come August 23rd.
I think one of the positives is to kind of build off of that. If you're going to be successful the way the Tennessee State high school playoffs are built, you're going to have to get on a bus and you're going to have to travel 2 or 3 hours to play a very meaningful game. Just like we practice blocking and tackling and snapping and kicking and all the things, why not practice getting on a bus, taking a long trip, creating an itinerary that is different than what a normal Friday looks like? Why not be prepared for every step of that process?
Obviously, your out-of-conference schedule is what it is. Talk a little bit about your in-conference schedule. Is this, in your mind, you guys, is this still the toughest region in the state, period?
I would agree so. I think, between the teams and with the student body, I think it's a totally different atmosphere than anywhere else in, the state. I think all these teams are very loaded. It's going to be very competitive. Franklin looking good, Brentwood looking good. I know there are a lot of players coming back for all teams in the region, and so I'm really excited to compete against them, come the middle of the season and, finishing it out.
We're all massive schools, and we're pulling from a lot of players, and there's a lot of talent on all the teams. So it's a very competitive region, yes, sir.
And one last ugly question. Do you guys even say the B word? Or do you
what word?
Thank you. That's what I thought.
Coach Maurice Patton with Main Street Murray, to kind of piggyback on my esteemed colleague's question. The fact that 5 of the 6 members of this region are all right here in the same county. Obviously, you guys cross paths away from the football field and that kind of thing. What does that add to this already being, quote, the toughest region?
Well, I think, to use a word, I don't know that it fits appropriately, but we're all kind of incestuous in terms, especially from a staff perspective. Clint Finch was a Ravenwood coach. Paul Derrick was a Ravenwood coach. We all kind of spend time together.
You were a Nolensville coach.
I was a coach of that B word too. So I mean, it's all kind of incestuous. We all know each other very well. You know, we all spend a lot of time together. I would call Brian Coleman and Jamal Stewart two of my best friends. So, you know, it is difficult to play those people on Friday night because you care about them, and most every other Friday night you're rooting for them. But you also know it's an unbelievable opportunity for these kids to play in front of the student bodies that we have, you know, to have things like WCS game days and outside the lines and all the things that allow our players to get notoriety and have an opportunity to be on social media and all of that. I think Williamson County does it about as good as anybody possibly could.
To steal a phrase from a local college football conference, does it just mean more?
1,000%.
Brad DeShiel with Dash to Sports called many of your games against Independence, and it's always that that offensive line, defensive line that Ravenwood always has prided itself on, or at least if you're looking from the outside in, that's what we look at. Where is that this year? I know you have 28 seniors coming back, and also because you have that many on, what does that pressure feel? You got a lot of guys committing to different places. Is that kind of a in the back of your mind pressure, like, oh, we got to do good, especially game time, or do you just kind of put it on the side burner and say, let's just go do business?
Elliot, being part of that group, why don't you take that?
I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, we have 3 guys that all, including myself, that all played last year, and so we have a lot of skill and talent there. And then on offense, we have 5 seniors ready to run the ball, and so there's a lot of talent there. But in terms of playing games and being a little stressed out by the talent that we have on there, I mean, we just put it aside and hit people.
I totally agree. No, that O-line for offensive side of the ball, our O-line is the same O-line as our freshman year. We've all played together, all grown together. The chemistry is kind of unmatched, I think, here at Ravenwood. We've all played together from Pee Wee up to now. And so I say, you know, we push all of the college stuff aside. You know, there's been some flaws to other teams where college became, you know, it became an individualistic mindset. But I think this year we're very collective, and we all want to win. We all want to, you know, get to that state championship. So we're pushing everything aside, you know, to finish the job and, you know, do what we were supposed to do from the start.
You know, I mean, a lot of people don't know, but I heard an interesting stat before we came in here. These 2 cats were in 2nd grade class together. I believe Miss Lang's class, as I found out before he came in. So, you know, when you have a group that's kind of grown up together, as our senior class has, obviously there's a couple of move-in pieces to that puzzle. But, you know, we throw around the word like everybody else in athletics now about staying connected. I would say we're about as connected as you can be.
Other than Brentwood, is there a team that you, and it could be any team really, that you look forward to playing, or you're like, I want to get up for this game? Not that you're not up for that one any more than in the others, but just maybe a little insight to your personal, like yours may be different from his, a game that you kind of get ready for.
I would say secondhand, our second rivalry is kind of, I would say Franklin for sure. You know, Franklin last year and the years before have not been, you know, the strongest, but they fight every time they play us, and they are a good team. This year they will be a good team. Just like our freshman year, our championship was against Franklin. And that team now, this varsity team, is basically that exact same freshman team. I think there's still a lot of rivalry there. I think we're all, you know, very connected with those guys just as much as we are with Brentwood. The game definitely means more, and but another game on this schedule that, you know, gets me ramped up, that I circle on the calendar, is definitely Oakland. At least past 2 years we haven't been able to get it done. Just purely off, they are very talented and they are very connected, but I think this year we're going to match up very nice against them, and I think that's going to be a super cool game, you know, going into Battle of the Woods and playoffs. So, you know, we'll probably see them later on in the playoffs, but it's going to be cool to see them earlier in the season for sure.
Absolutely. Oakland is definitely one of the ones I'm really excited for right before Brentwood. It'll be really like I would say it's probably going to be our biggest test in terms of the people that we're playing this year, and I'm really excited to do well against them with the team we have.
Charlie Bateman, Williamson Herald. First question is for Coach Hester. Coach, you've been a lifer at Brentwood. What does it mean to be in a place and community that has meant so much to you for so long?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's no secret that I grew up in the area. I went to high school in the area. I remember one of my first conversations with Tom after getting the Ravenwood job the first time was talking about, hunting rabbits on the grounds that are now Ravenwood High School, when it was a farm back when I moved to Tennessee in the early 90s, late 80s. So, it means a lot to us. My parents still live across the street and can hear the band play when they're practicing during the week and all that kind of stuff. But it's community, right? Williamson County's a pretty tight-knit group. These guys all go to church together. They're all in scouts together. They all kind of have grown up playing rec league basketball together. I know a lot of guys on our team get a kick out of playing rec league basketball in the wintertime. And, some of those games are as intense as some of the Friday night games. They just enjoy competing against each other. And, just like now, I would say, 90% of the kids in our county are all playing NCAA football 2025. I guarantee you there's some rivalries going on between teams with, individuals playing each other online and stuff. So.
And then the other question is for your players. Is there any concern about starting out with such a far distance game with Alcoa for your first game?
I disagree. No, I think it's going to be super fun. I got the opportunity my freshman year to go to Collierville and Memphis, and that's a trip I won't forget. I think it's super cool opportunity to go out to Knoxville and see what they have. And I know that trip's going to be fun. It's going to be worth a lifetime, and it's going to be the start of something special. So I look forward to it, and I'm super excited.
The farther the drive, the harder I want to play.
The end.
Coach, as I look through your roster and your coaching staff, there's a name that kind of jumps out. Is Chris Rowland going to be your tunnel screen specialist coach, or what do you see him doing for you all?
Chris does a little bit of everything. Chris has a very strong opportunity to be super successful in this profession. Had an opportunity to join the Tennessee State staff this year as a receivers coach. Chose not to do that because there are some opportunities for him to maybe still get picked up NFL-wise, and I think he's still chasing that. So we enjoy having Chris every day we've got him. We're all hoping and praying that he gets an opportunity to, with the new rules, return kicks for somebody. But, it's cool for these guys to have somebody that's gone through the things that they have in the exact same locker room that they have in order to kind of pour into them. We go away to camp next Friday after scrimmage in Owensville, and Thursday, they're going to sleep in the same cabins that Chris Rowland and Van Jefferson and those guys slept in. So, kind of following that same format, same process, if you will. And Chris does a great job of pouring into all of our kids. He coaches wideouts, but he's also kind of the hype man for our special team, scout team, and all that kind of stuff. We created a scout team player of the week because of Chris's ideas. So proud of the person that he is, the man that he is, but he's a phenomenal football coach too.
I see you guys smile when you hear Chris's name. What's it like just interacting with, Ravenwood royalty like that?
I'm a defensive player, but I still feel his energy the entire practice. He just brings so much energy to the team. It's awesome.
No, he's still a kid at heart for sure. He's a lot more grown up than us, a lot mature. He knows the game a lot more, and he knows, what it's like to be a high school kid, and all the way through the league, he knows the stress that comes with it. So as a mentor, he's been super great to all of us, and he's very, very fine on the details, and it means a lot because that's what we need to perfect going into this season. And so having a guy like that, come around and really pour into us, it means a lot to us. I remember watching him when I first moved here. He was a little stud just running around the field, and now he's back and he's helping us, and so it's a great opportunity.
Tom Kroger with the Tennessean. Y'all mentioned NCAA College Football 25. I got to ask, has anyone created a Ravenwood team? If we see it online, can we find a Ravenwood football team in the game?
I personally have not played with it, but I've seen some photos of us being Brentwood 179-3. So, it's definitely out there, and it's definitely real. As soon as I get it, I'll give it to you.
I will look for it.
Want to back up just a second. Something you said a few minutes ago, Coach. In your 24 years of doing this, you've seen the changes, specifically game day. Williamson County preseason stuff. You've got all the media folks here. Social media, the internet, all this that has come about, has it affected the way you approach young men, your teams, and your maybe not necessarily your coaching, but your style and how you try to get through to them?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, it's made us adapt and change. I mean, I think people have talked all the time about how it was impressive how Coach Saban was able to reinvent himself with all the different things that came along during his time. You know, I think if you're not building the brand of your program, if you're not in today's day and age of people, you know, moving to certain areas because they want their kids to attend schools in a certain area, whatever, you have to have a footprint that's kind of noticeable. I think Ravenwood has done a pretty decent job, only being in a school for 22 or 23 years, to kind of have a footprint and some name recognition. And I think social media has done a lot of that. I think early success back to Coach Rector's days and all that have done a lot of that, and kind of you know, we're on a little cycle here where we're about, you know, every 10 years, you know, you kind of catch lightning in a bottle. You know, we're coming up on those years right now. So I truly believe that kids have more information about your program. You know, I get a text message every so often from a kid currently in our program that's watching a YouTube video that may have been created in 2014 or 15 of behind the scenes of our team. So that everybody has a little bit more information about what you're doing and what's going on. And I tell parents all the time when they're looking for a prospective school, you know, we are who we are when you Google us, right? You know, go out there, look for all the information you can find about us because that's who we really are, and talk to as many people as you can because whether it's true or not, perception is reality, right? And however people perceive your program is a lot about how it really is.
Coach Dana McClendon, WAKM. This question's for the players. The last time you guys were in pads on a Friday night was a tough loss in the Brentwood game in the playoffs. If you could move that game up to game one, would you? And if not, are you looking forward to building to that game?
I think the energy of keeping it the last game really excites not just the players but the whole student body at our school. I mean, having it the last game, our big rivalry, it just really builds it, especially a home game this year. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, I like the anticipation. I'm eager to get to that game, and I like to stay eager to get into that game. That's the game that, you know, I'm looking for all year. No matter what, they're good or bad, they're still going to put up a fight. It's going to be one of the best games, you know, you're going to see. And I'm super excited to go and have that at the end of the season and, you know, go into the playoffs with hopefully a win on our back and finish out the regular season.
Coach, listening to Joe's question about the evolution of high school football with social media and the internet and everything else over your 24 years triggered a question. You know, do you find yourself dealing with athletes and with their families differently than maybe you did when you first came into this profession?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, back in the day, I was stacking 13 VHS decks on top of each other to make highlight films to send out to coaches, and now we're able to attach a link to a text or an email. And, you know, obviously that the collegiate recruiting thing has changed quite a bit. You know, we're having people that we're navigating through the life of NIL with and getting them involved with people that may can help as far as financial planning and all that kind of stuff, so that, you know, understanding that any money that you receive may need to be taken care of smartly and not wasted. And, you know, so conversations are completely different, right? But in the end, you know, parents care about their kids. They want the best for their kids. And, you know, conversations that we generally have are around, you know, doing what's best for their individual child.
Great job. Thank you, Coach Esther. Ravenwood High School, good job. Up next, we'll have Independence High School. Coach Stidham, you guys will make your way up. Coach will be in the middle, players on the ends. Everyone will have their own mic. Before we get started, I do want to thank again our members of the media for being here. You don't have football media day or basketball media day or any kind of media day without media members, so we do appreciate you being here. I want to thank Lance and Will from WCTV who are live streaming this thing for us. I know folks will be not only watching it live, but going back and watching it as well, so appreciate all you guys do. Appreciate the factory. Great place to have this particular event, Mojos Tacos. We've been here several years now. Very accommodating to what we try to do here, so we want to thank them again as well. Coach Stidham, last year, a playoff team, and that's no small achievement playing in the league that we play in. A lot of coaches have talked about that before you got here, Coach, about, hey, step one is let's get in the playoffs. Let's make sure we get in the playoffs and give ourselves an opportunity, whether it be the 1 seed, the 4 seed, doesn't matter. Let's get in, because you know if you get in, you got a chance when you play in this particular league. Coach now got a few years under his belt in WCS. He's not the rookie anymore. He definitely epitomizes what we try to get in our district, in our county, in terms of a coach and a staff member. It's somebody who's all in and who is a great role model for not only his team, but also the school. So I know I really appreciate Coach Stidham and all our great coaches in this league. And no one cheers for success more for Coach Stidham than I do, because he's a guy that does it right. So looking forward to the season for Independence High School. I know Coach is excited about it. Coach, if you would, give sort of an introduction on what you expect for the season, and then also talk about these players. And I know you guys are going to ask. You'll take a look at that schedule. Coach Stidham is not worried about playing tough competition. He says you may as well get ready for it, because that's what you're going to have to do to be successful in the region, but also in the postseason. So, Coach Stidham, Independence High School. Thanks.
He said all those nice things, and then he ends with that. So that's all right. We'll call it even, Coach. I understand. First, let me introduce who we have here. Is Cole Romine. Cole last year was a slot back for us, and we've moved him kind of to one of our outside receivers, and he'll be one of our guys that'll play some both ways. So he'll play receiver and also some safety and defensive back for us. Just a great representative of what we want. And then Russell Gargis will start on our offensive line and could also play some on defensive line. What the difference is Cole started every game last year. Russell's getting ready to start his first game against Oakland. That'll be a senior, but that's what we want. You talk about someone that's developed in our program from his sophomore to his junior to his senior year. He's the perfect representative of that. And so they're kind of two different levels of what they've done last year, but they're all into what we want to do as an Indy football team. And a good problem we have right now as a coaching staff is it was hard for us to pick the two guys to come. And we sent Andrew Bingham's our punter, who's committed to Air Force. He's on the cover of the media guide. We had a Titans media day, and we sent Eli Bauman, who's our leading returning tackler. And we sent Taylor Lawrence, who's a returning corner that's committed to Middle Tennessee State this summer. And so then we kept going. We have more. And so it's a great problem to have. I don't know that we have there's not Ty Lockwood and Trey Hartwell, some of the, quote, stars when I first came here, but we're excited about our team and the unity that they have, and they're willing to play for each other. And we know our schedule's tough, but we get excited about it. And this team, I told them last week some of the hard things that are coming up, and they started getting excited. And so when teams like handling that and like adversity and like facing those difficult things that we're going to face, it gives you a chance to be successful, and we're excited to get started here in the next few weeks.
KJ615 Preps, opening the season with Oakland and then Page. How do you guys see that helping you prepare for the rest of the season?
Well, it's the same as last year. We're, we faced the 6A runner-up and the 5A runner-up in back-to-back weeks. So we'll learn a lot about ourselves, and we do love playing great competition in non-region. First, our region's brutal. Someone in our region, so at least 2 good teams in our region aren't going to play in November, and we want to be one of the top 4. You can ask our kids, and they're preached a lot. Top 4 get you in the playoffs. Top 2 get you a home playoff game. Top 1 gets you a home playoff game for a while. And so they know that, they understand that, and what playing Oakland and Page do is allow you to be prepared for the region. And so we had great games last year with them. We we were kind of shocked by Oakland and responded pretty well. And then a triple overtime game against Page. So we're looking forward to competing against great teams again.
Coach, first thing for you, obviously we met when you were at South Gibson. I met you and Coach Wilkins when you were both out there. First thing, how happy were you to see him get that state title in basketball last season? And then for the players, obviously a lot of ups and downs last year. How did those troubles and trials you went through last year, how do you see that helping you in this season?
Well, starting off I loved it for Coach Wilkins, number one, because of who he is and the kind of man he is and our relationship and friend. And then I loved it because it's Independence High School, and I believe that success breeds success. Matt Horner, who's going to be a sophomore for us as a quarterback, competing to be getting some playing time for us, he was on the bench and got to be a part of a state championship team. And so it only is going to help us. We have a lot of multi-sport kids, but we had football players in the stands cheering. We loved it. He coached my own two sons, and so our relationship goes a long way back. But was really excited for him, and he supports us. And he'll message me about 3 times a week this week, wanting to know how practice was going. And so just a great man, and it was great for Independence High School.
With your question, I think we really did kind of see it all last year. We played 3 games in overtime. Obviously, 2 went our way, and 1, sadly didn't. But I think this team, especially with a lot of the returning guys that we have, I think we've got a really solid foundation. We've pretty much seen it all, and I think we're prepared to go out there and compete with the best, right off the bat. I think this team is really ready, really united, and really prepared to go out and put out the best season that we can.
I think we saw it as opportunity, like through the ups and downs. We've been turning negatives into positives. So even when we're going into overtimes 3 times during the season, it builds character on us as a team.
Maurice Patton with Main Street Murray. Cole, the overarching, perception of Independence the last couple of years is that they've not performed to the standard that had previously been set. What do you feel like has happened over this offseason? What is happening during this preseason to kind of get Independence football back to where a lot of people expect it to be, maybe?
I think we really have built a chemistry with our team this year. We have become brothers. Last year and past years, I feel like we haven't been as close together as we are this year. And, we've gone at it this offseason. We've had a really good spring, really good summer. I think it's going to put us into a really good season.
And, Coach, again, this schedule gets a lot of attention, understandably so. Is there a concern that this team could be better and not necessarily have anything to show for that improvement in wins and losses early on?
Not a concern, no. We're going into every game expecting to win, but the first one that really counts is Franklin in week 4. Whether you're 0-3 or 3-0, it starts 0-0 right there, because the non-region games only come into play is if it's a 3-way tie and you've all beaten each other for seeding. And so now we like playing it. We didn't just schedule Oakland. Let's see where we stand. We're going to show up. I guarantee you these kids are planning on winning it. And I think it's a great opportunity when we finish. We could probably find 3 teams that we could just beat and then lose to Franklin by 30, and all of a sudden we're 3-1. It makes us, at least our record's 3-1. It's not about, someone asked me this week, so what's your career record? I have no idea. I could probably add it up and figure it out. I don't know. Our goal, how good can we be in November, and then how far can we go, and that's the steps we're trying to take.
Coach Dana McClendon, WAKM, could you speak to how many returning starters you have, and maybe a little deeper than that, if you don't have a ton of returning starters, how many kids are going to start this year that got a lot of playing time last year? That's question 1. Question 2 is, how do you take a 5-6 team that got to the first round last year and take it deeper this year, particularly given this schedule?
Sure. First, we returned 4 starters offensively, 2 on our offensive line. They'll both be juniors. Caden Liebler and Siler Green. Whenever you return offensive lineman, you get excited. Now, also as far as who's going to play a lot, I hope at a school our size, we always lose a lot of starters, because I hope we're senior heavy in who's playing, and that they're building up through just like Russell has. So we have 4 coming back. Cole as a returning starter also, and then at receiver is Q Stansel, someone we're really excited about. He's an unbelievable offseason that can do some great things for us. Defensively, we returned 6. We have at corner, we have Taylor Lawrence, and Garrett Peevler is coming back. At linebacker, we have Austin Oakes as an inside linebacker, and Eli Ballman. We talked about our returning tackler, leading tackler coming back. He played safety. We're going to move him more into the box and play linebacker for us. And then also on our defensive line is Will Giffen is coming back for us. And then Calvin Wall's a young man that didn't start for us. He did on special teams, returned to kick the opening kick against Franklin that allowed us to win a game that decided we got to go in the playoffs. So Calvin will play a lot on both sides of the ball. Blaze Katina is another outside linebacker that returns. This is the last one, but he'll be a junior, so we'll talk about him probably again next year. So no, they've been great for us. We're excited about all those guys coming back. We just feel like right now there's a lot of depth and guys competing. And just because you return as a starter doesn't mean you're going to start for us this year. And so you got to compete every day. And our depth chart, a lot of teams, I've coached with some, when I was early in my career, coached some guys, their depth chart was set, I think, when the kids were freshmen walked in. And it never changed. Our kids change every day. And so we compete and talk about getting better and continue to progress. As far as, I think your second question, how do we take that next step? When we took the program over, we were 4-7 and lost the first round. Independence had a lot of success, but we haven't hosted a home playoff game in 6A football. And so that's still our goal, to get it home. That helps. The higher seed helps you. But we know what we're in for and what the competition is. Our whole thing's getting better every day, peaking at the end of the year. We played our best football in the middle of the year last year. And then we didn't play as well the last 3 weeks of the season. Our goal is to continue to strive, and these great senior leaders, we're counting on that.
Coach, players, this is Brad DeShield, Dash to Sports. Looking forward to watching you guys again this year. Talk about the offense that you run. It's the wing tee, first year implemented last year. Are you finding the players to make that work? What quarterback will you use, or is that still a competition as far as who's going to run that? And how much do you think you'll get to throw out of that offense this year?
Well, I wouldn't call it a wing tee. It's a triple option offense. I would call our offense a spread option, because we can throw it. Right. We have that ability and have the ability to spread you out and run some triple option. We do some RPO things. We've added some tweaks to it because of what we have personnel-wise. So we want to be multiple. We want to make people defend all 6 of our skill kids. And that's our main thing, is put our kids in the best position to allow us to use multiple formations and read people that are hard to block, and then continue to throw the ball, spread it all out. We always are going to give our kids the best chance to be successful and make it multiple. Who our quarterback is a great question. We still got time to learn and go. Right. We have 3 kids kind of competing for it right now. I would say we have a junior coming back, Hunter Mullen, who played a lot for us on both sides of the ball. He's playing quarterback right now. If we probably had to start today, he would probably have the nod, but it's not by much. We have a sophomore, Matt Horner, we talked about, who played. Matt Horner played basketball, ran track, and played football. So many kids are specializing. We love multi-sport athletes. And there were days that this season the basketball team was practicing at 7 when they got in the playoffs. He was coming and lifting at 6. This is in the spring of the state tournament or region tournament. Lifting weights with football at 6, going to basketball at 7, and then running track after school. All in the same day, not like throughout the year. So Matt's a young man we're really excited about. And then our senior is Noah Carbonari, who's also competing for it. Yeah, we don't want to throw, we want to catch. Anybody can throw the ball, but we feel we work hard on it, we're going to do whatever gives us the best chance to be successful.
I want to talk about your game last year. That to me, it looked like everything came together: play calling, execution, everything. And that was the Beach game at Beach. It looked like if you had to say this was, I'm not saying it was a perfect game, but if you had to pick a game last year that you wanted to emulate all your other games to be like, it was like that one. You just took them totally out of their element on their home field and just, pretty much ran what you wanted to run. How much of that are you trying to get to, and I'll let you guys talk about that, this year with your, with where you want to go?
You want me to go first? Okay. Let me start. I don't know that play calling was good. Execution of play calling was outstanding. And so I don't know that it was much different. But, no, we did. We played really well up there. I wish they weren't coming back because I imagine they're not pleased with us. But we played really well, and these kids, not many people gave us a chance when we got on the bus to go up there. But our kids believe. We love playing games when no one believes in us.
I feel like that was kind of the standard we set after that to the year, and that's the standard we're setting for this year, that we want every game to be like that. And we're not coming out to just dilly-dally around. We're going to come out to win and smack you in the mouth.
I think a lot of people are saying that we're the underdog again this year, and just like Coach just said, we were the underdog in that game. And so I think with this particular team, we love it when people doubt us. Coach is saying that all the time. We love it when people don't think we can win, because that just gives us a better chance to go out there and just hit them in the mouth on the first play. I think if we can emulate that underdog energy the entire year and have that same desire to go out and win like we did in that game, I think we're going to have a pretty good season.
Coach Stidham, this question is for you and your players. Start out with two teams that have made it to the state championship game recently in Oakland and Page. How do you feel like playing teams like that helps your program for region and obviously beyond?
Well, one thing, in our teams in our region aren't afraid to play those two. Ravenwood's playing Oakland. Brentwood's sure not afraid to play people. Summit played Beach a couple years ago. Franklin plays Mount Juliet. I mean, it's everybody. And so we got to be ready to go. It just happens to be the first two games, which I think helps our whole off season, whole summer, because if you're getting ready to play a team, those Power 5 teams in college football are getting ready to play some FCS team. They're probably not working as hard as these kids because we're getting ready to strap up against Alabama. That's what we're in for. And so I think it helps us, gets our kids excited. And they would rather play. I think any kid in your program would rather, that's worth anything, that wants to compete, would rather play your Oakland than someone you can just show up and beat. I would hope. Go ahead.
I think it really makes us put in the work in the off season and make us want to work even harder, because that's going to be our first game, and that's going to be our standard to the season that we want to put on. And we just got to put the foot on the pedal and go.
To be the best, you gotta play the best. And I think with the region that we're in, we have to do those extra things. We have to play those sort of high echelon teams to prepare for that sort of competition that we face throughout the year. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be those two games and whatever else we have on the schedule that's going to prepare us to not only play the teams in our region and secure our spot in the playoffs, but then to also push us forward and into November.
And I think we learned a lot last year playing Oakland. I think probably after about 7 plays, we're down 21-0. I thought they're about to set a national record scoring against us. And then in the middle of the third quarter, we're down 7. Our kids competed. They weren't afraid and backed down, and it helped us when we went and played those other teams. So just love coaching these guys and the way they compete.
Thank you, Coach Stidham, Independence High School. Give him a hand. Good job. Appreciate it. I was just glad that Coach Stidham actually mentioned the name Summit, so I didn't feel too bad. He wasn't doing like the Ravenwood, Brentwood folks. They just give letters. Next up, we have Franklin High School. Coach Josh Adkins in his first year. This is his first time here at Football Media Day, so y'all make him feel welcome when he comes up here. Coach, you'll sit in the middle. Players on the end. A couple years ago, that was Coach Stidham, first year at Independence. Last year, Coach Stewart at Centennial High School. We have one rookie in the league in terms of being a head coach in WCS, Coach Josh Adkins. I know we're excited about you being here, Coach. Franklin High School, as many of you know, past few years, fallen on tough times, had a long losing streak, but at the end of last year, they finished the season with a couple of wins, one over Mount Juliet at Franklin that I don't think a lot of people expected to happen. Big senior class for this particular team. They've been a young team for several years, and you heard Ravenwood talk about this earlier. You guys weren't in here, but they know about this senior class, talking about this class coming of age, so to speak, and now this is sort of the year you've been building towards. Coach, if you would, again, welcome to Williamson County Schools and Franklin High School. We appreciate you being not only here in Williamson County, but also here for Media Day. I know this is a little bit different the way we do it here, but what if you would, Coach, just give sort of an introduction, tell the crowd about yourself a little bit, where you've been, also some expectations for the season, introduce who's with you, and then we'll take questions from the media. Josh Adkins, Franklin High School. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Darren. Just kind of a little bit about myself. For the last 5 years, I was at Gallatin High School in various roles. Before that, I was at McNeese State as a GA with Coach Guidry, who's now at Miami. And then before that, I was at Florida Tech, coached defensive line, director of football operations. And then before that, I was at MTSU with Coach Stock as a student assistant. Expectations for this season is the one thing I've been harping on is we're going to focus on the little things, right? I felt like once I got the nod, I watched film for the past 2 years, and I felt like it was the little things that got them beat. Bad penalty here, wrong play, there, as far as play direction or taking the 6 inches too little, too far, kind of matters. And so for me, as this team, 2 things I told them we're going to get better at is focusing on the little things and mental toughness. Because when I first got here, I told them the talent's here, right? They got the size, they got the speed, and I felt like it was just mental toughness and focus on the little things. 2 little things that seem so trivial is the difference between winning and losing football games. To my left over here, got Thompson King, senior. He's my Swiss Army knife. Linebacker, quarterback, kicker, receiver, etc. And on the other side over here, I got Sean Gatka. Call him Sweetness. I'm all about nicknames, so if I start calling kids like who's this guy and what he's talking about, I like to build those relationships, so I give nicknames. So, Sean's running back, also quarterback, secondary guy, returners across the board. And I told the kids when I got here as well that the best 11 are going to play. At competition-wise, I don't care if it's a freshman or a senior, when they take the field, this is going to be the best 11 that can get the job done that's going to play for us.
KJ 615 Preps. This is for the players. You guys finished the last season with back-to-back wins, with one being an undefeated Mount Juliet. How do you feel that momentum can carry on and help you guys this year?
I think last year going into that Mount Juliet game, we really had nothing to lose. I think we kind of going in that game, we just put it all in. And after that, we kind of in the beginning of the season, we knew once we get that one win, we're over the hump and we're just going to be rolling from there. And I think since that win, we've kind of got the momentum going into the next season. And throughout the summer working with the guys, we know what we have, and we know we have what it takes. We just need what he said, mental toughness, and fix the little things.
Yeah, off of what Sean said, just propelling us to next year, especially with that 7-on-7 at Riverdale, that was a big thing for us. Going in there and winning that whole tournament was a big deal, and it just keeps us going. We got to keep the train rolling. That's the biggest thing. And like Coach Atkins says, focus on ourselves, and that's a big thing for us.
I'll also add to this as well. When I was at Gallatin, we always kind of had every Monday we'd kind of sit around and talk about games, your crazy pick of the week, if you will. I came down, it was our bye week. I came down and I watched the Ravenwood game because my wife, she's a Franklin alum, so every time we have any time off, I always try to catch a football game. And watching that game and watching that kids, and I just started looking, I'm like, these kids can beat Mount Juliet. We played Mount Juliet on the season, it didn't turn favor for us, Gallatin. So I go back and like, Coach, you crazy. Like, they're 0-8 and Mount Juliet's undefeated. I'm like, the kids that I see, at the right time, and there's stuff that had to happen, turnovers and certain penalties here and there, and it kind of, worked out in their favor. But I was like, if everything kind of turns their way, I think they can beat Mount Juliet. And we're kind of watching the end of the game, and some of our non-faculty coaches were kind of, hey, Coach, you see the score yet? I go, no. It's like, Franklin beat Mount Juliet. And I was like, I know what I saw when I saw in these kids, so.
I'm sure Trey Perry would have appreciated the heads up.
Yeah, told Trey, yeah. Yeah, Coach Perry would have for sure, yeah.
Joe with 615 Preps. For the players, kind of along those lines, what has Coach brought to the team that's maybe been missing or lacking these last couple seasons that you guys can really build upon?
Going back to what I said earlier, I'd say like focusing on ourselves is like a really big thing for us this year. But also, I'd say like everybody's bought in, from like the freshmen, the JV, everybody's bought in this year, and that's a really big thing for us.
I mean, yeah, what Thompson said, like, we're all bought in this year. We got a lot of motivation going in, and I think that's really what the main thing is. I think we lacked a lot of motivation the years past just from the amount of losses we went through. And, like, I think going into this year, we know what we have, and we know what we can do.
Joe Williams, WAKM Radio. Guys, even at the toughest points, this county is well known for their crazy student sections. Franklin is probably the craziest of the bunch. Question one, what does that do for you guys, and what's that going to mean this year? You think that's going to add some things up? And question two, Sean, are there any more GACAs coming? Because as you guys have, it's like the next one just seems to be a little bit better than the last one.
No, sir. There's nothing more on the last one. But for the student section, I think that plays a huge part in the games. Like for defense, like when the student section's loud, it brings hype and definitely changes the course of how we play. And when we look into the stands, we see like all the people cheering for us. It makes us more motivated, want to win more.
Yeah, I'd say the motivation's a big thing, especially because like the last 2 years we've had fallen on hard times, and even though the student section showed up packed every game, like that was a big thing, and that made those wins at the end of last season just even more worth it.
Coach, as a first-year head coach, what is the significance of having a Donnie Webb on your staff, not just a former head coach, but a former head coach in this program? And for the players, what's it mean to you guys just to kind of have that little continuity there?
I'll go first. Donnie Webb has been nothing but a blessing. You think, as a coach who makes that plunge, as a head coach, you feel like, military, college, high school coach, and I've kind of done it all. I'm ready to be a head coach. And then you jump in, and you're just like, wait, I didn't think about this, I didn't think about that. So having someone like Donnie Webb, who has, a decade plus of head coach and over, 25, 30 years of coaching experience, it's good to kind of bounce stuff off of, like, hey, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? And what I love most about Donnie is, like, he'll tell you, he'll be like, I like that, or he's a little funny. He'd be like, you can do that, but that long but. I'm like, wait, okay, because he has a pulse of, Williamson County and the people and the community too. So it's, like I said, for me, he's been basically my rock as far as coaching experience and just, what does he think as far as the season going, and he's been, unbelievable for me.
I think it's great to have Coach Webb on the staff because he really knows what he's talking about. He's been there for God knows how long, and I've built a relationship with Coach just because he's been there so long that like I've seen him just going to the games, watching my brothers, and it's great to be coached by Coach Webb on defense.
I'd say a big thing for him is like the fact he brings a lot of insight to this region. He knows what teams like to do, and he's been here for forever, so he knows like what coaches prefer and like what they like to do.
Coach, Dana McClendon, WAKM, welcome to Williamson County football. You get thrown into the fire quick. The players sitting next to you, I don't believe they've dressed and beaten Centennial as varsity players. Have you got that game? Obviously, that game's been circled. What can we, as in my case, the parent of a Franklin High School football player who played with your brother and Coach Webb and played for Coach Webb, what can we, as people who want to see Franklin High return to its flagship status, expect the first Friday night of this season?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, when I got the nod as the head coach, I kind of looked at the schedule and I saw it out of the gate. You know, kind of leaned to my wife, and you know, she was like, you know, Centennial is a newer rivalry, and the older rivalry is Brentwood, just like how Gallatin Station Camp was the newer one, and Hendersonville was the one. So I kind of have the feeling for that. It has huge implications at beginning of the season because, number one, it's not a region game, but it is a rivalry. And, you know, like you said, these guys are hungry for that first win, you know, against a newer rivalry coming into their senior year. But I'll just kind of go back to, you know, what I've told these guys. It doesn't matter if it's Centennial or, you know, I think Indy's coach said it best to her, Alabama. Like, we take care of us. We're going to focus on us, do what we do well. And the bigger things like the scoreboard will take care of itself.
Okay. I mean, it's just a great start to the season. A big win in a game like that would mean a lot. It's a great thing to keep the momentum rolling. It's also just a great atmosphere to play in. That stadium's always packed and stuff, so it's just a lot of fun.
I think first game against Centennial is already going to be hyped up. I feel like this year we got a lot of more hype going into this season. We know we can do more, and I feel like, I think we got it.
Brad DeShiel with Dash to Sports covered Independence for several years and called their play-by-play games. Coach, welcome to Williamson County. Glad to have you here. You're sitting there with a great program. Everybody in this room has felt like, you know, at one point or another, Franklin was one play away from winning several games and becoming a playoff team. I know against Independence, I can go back to the last 3 or 4 years where, it came down to 1 or 2 plays. One was if I remember correctly, it was going for a 2 points. Donnie was going for a 2 points, which I commend him all the way. Just didn't work out. We won the game by 1 point. Yeah. What is it that you're going to bring that's going to make it different? I know you're talking about the little things, but is there anything different in the offense, different style of offense, anything defensively that might say, you know what, I like this from what Gallatin did or what we did at McNeese State or stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, offensively, I feel like the one thing that I do really well is I try to find talent sometimes people overlook. And, you know, a kid who might not be the fastest but have unbelievable hands. And, like, I tell our kids, I don't care what it looks like or how it looks, we're getting 12 feet. The difference between winning and losing in the game of football is offensively, can we get 12 feet, 4 yards of play, and defensively, can we keep it to 9 feet? Offensively, you know, it's a little bit of this and that. You know, Coach Strout. You know, there's some things that you know, I run some of his stuff, but I changed the names and kind of formation. He's like, why would you do it? I was like, that's just kind of my take on it. You know, with McNeese being there with Landon Hofer, you know, he's part of the Mike Leach tree. Right. So, you know, not too much of a spoiler alert for that, but it's just a little bit. I tell people offensively, we're going to run to throw and throw to run. So it's just, you know, what the defense gives me. If there's 8 guys in the box, we got to have guys like Wills Jackson, Lucas Young, Luke Thompson, you know, I'll line Sean out receiver to beat those guys one-on-one. And if there's 5 guys in the box, you know, we've got to be able to dominate the line of scrimmage to be able to get the yards we need.
And for the players, talk about the Independence games. You guys have been involved in several of them. Just talk about when you play against Independence, what do you look? I mean, I know it's not a crosstown rival like Centennial. It's not Brentwood, but we're that team in the South that that's always ready to play. Talk about those games.
Oh yeah, it's a big game, definitely. It's a region game, and I know a lot of guys on the team, so it definitely means something. But last year it was a close game the whole time. Went to double OT. We thought we had it going into overtime, but we just didn't come out with it. And then obviously the year before they had it, but it's always been close games with them. So it's always good to play Independence.
Yeah, it's always a fun game to play. It always comes down to the wire, and everybody's just really juiced up for that game. Everybody's ready to be there. That's a fun game.
Charlie Bateman, Williamson Herald. Coach Atkins, you talked about your wife was an alum of Franklin. Besides that, what drew you to Franklin High School?
I mean, honestly, it was, besides Franklin football and just the lore that I knew about it, like I said, my wife graduated in 07, it's Williamson County football. Like, to me, I always think you look at, like, pockets of good football, and in, year out, Williamson County is one of the top counties in the state that bring, deep playoff teams. In this area, you look at, my personal opinion, you got good teams in Williamson, Sumner and Wilson County that can rival other teams in the state. So for me, people ask, why would you take the Franklin job? And I ask them, why not? I mean, student section, which I love, check, right? People who love the game of football, check. Players that to my left and right, check. I feel like it was crazy not to take the job because it's a situation where, with the kids being bought in and really focusing on little things like mental toughness. Like we have Coach Dunning, he's our strength coach and running back coach. He does quickness fitness. This is kind of key to me. So yes, we started afternoon practices to beat the heat, long practices, and so our weight rooms adjusted a little bit. And at the end, Coach Dunning's like, all right, guys, let's go. And they're like, whoa, what about quickness fitness? And 3 months ago, the words quickness fitness would have stroked fear. Oh, they'd be moaning and grind. And I'm like, they were excited to put themselves through pain because they're starting to believe that when you put yourself through that kind of pain, it pays off on Friday nights. So for me as a head coach, to see them excited to do stuff that's going to put them through pain, I'm excited for Friday nights because of that.
And then I guess Sean probably knew this question was coming, but Sean, with also being a lacrosse player, how has that helped develop your football skill?
So I like to say that it keeps me well conditioned because I'm going to be playing both sides of the ball this year. I think a little bit more than last year, hopefully. But, yeah, it keeps me well conditioned because lacrosse is a lot of running. And going into football season, I think even for the conditioning after practice, I'm always, ahead just because, lacrosse, summer lacrosse, I'm always doing lacrosse. So I'm always conditioning, and it just helps me throughout the year with football.
To kind of add on too with that, I am totally in about athletes. I tell guys, play multiple sports. I mean, Tommy plays baseball too. Luke Thompson, Lucas Young, Wills Jackson, they run track. I got guys that play multiple sports for that reason because each sport's going to have its own dynamics as far as agility, conditioning, challenging the body different ways. So for me, playing lacrosse, basketball, baseball, track, whatever sport you can do in the off season to help you make yourself be a better athlete and a better football player, I'm always for it.
Coach Tom Krager at the Tennessean. Y'all won the Riverdale 7-on-7 passing tournament. No one's going to say, hey, that you're now the front runner for the state championship. No one's going to say that 7-on-7. I get that. But for you, for this program, I mean, I think it's the little things. Mm-hmm. How important is it for you, for your team, for your program, for the message you're trying to get through to do well in a passing tournament like this, to win it? As this, it kind of there's probably some teaching moments you can get out of that.
Oh, 100%. For me, as Coach Rose kind of joked and say it's backyard football, it's 7-on-7, But for me, I wanted to see, how the kids compete. And, we had very favorable pool play. We were undefeated there. We beat Shelbyville. That was a really good team. There was actually a moment there we were playing, and I think it was 7-0 at the time. But there was a play, I think it was actually to Sean, and the defense, everybody kind of stopped. Even the DC kind of stopped too because he said he tagged him short of the line. And I was like, Coach, did he get him? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's fine. We'll bring it back. We'll put it right here, 4th and inches. And the coaches and the players look at him. I was like, hey, this is right here. This is mental toughness. This is adversity that I talk about, and this is a free opportunity to see that. And obviously we converted and ended up scoring, but I told the guys, we've got to take those opportunities to be excited about that kind of, that situation. You know, in the tournament, you know, we played Lincoln County in the corners. Then we played Blackman, and to me, I was like, you know, Blackman, that's going to be a good test for us. And it was a good old slobber knocker, as I like to call it. Came down to the last play, last team with the ball in their hands. The same thing with Father Ryan, the championship. But for me, I love to see that our kids, no matter who it was, they focused on Franklin. It didn't whomever was across from us. They worried about themselves, worried about their routes, and taking care of stuff like that allows me to show that, hey, they're going to rise to occasions where we might play a team that people are like, oh, they're heavily favored, or we're going to be, you know, somewhat the underdogs. And I'll say this too with that, as far as competition with these guys, they love it. Like, you know, we're in Shells this past week. They kind of, you know, got excited about that. They're excited to go full, and because you look at it now, we're less than 4 weeks for the season starts. We got a couple scrimmages coming up, and then we open up with Centennial. So having that little precursor right there with that 7-on-7 was just, you know, for me, you know, validation of what I saw in those kids and their abilities to make plays.
Coach Adkin, good job. Good job. Good job, fellas. Franklin High School. Coach, you passed the test, your first football media day. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Good job, Coach. Good job. Last but not least, for Football Media Day 2024, we've got Brentwood High School, Coach Finch. If you guys will come up, Coach will sit in the middle. Got the players on the end. As they come up, over here. Everybody's got their own mic. A lot of talk during this Football Media Day about the season that Brentwood had last year. 13-1, first loss coming in the semifinals of the playoffs, the eventual state champion. Just a wonderful season for Coach Finch and his team to go undefeated, not only in this region, but to take it all the way to the semifinals. When you take a look at the schedule that they play, the teams that they had to beat to get to that level, it was certainly a season to remember, not only at Brentwood High School, but in WCS period, Coach. So congratulations on that. It's a new season. I know a lot of people are circling that last game of the year. The Battle of the Woods has now been moved to the end of the year. That game will be played at Ravenwood High School. A lot of folks feel like that will be for the region championship. Obviously, a lot of football to be played between now and then. But I know these guys, no matter what, will be excited about that contest. Coach, if you would, give us sort of expectations for the season, and then introduce who you have here with you, and then we'll take questions from the media. Coach Finch and Brentwood High School.
As always, thanks so much to Coach Joins and WCS for taking the time to put this on. High school athletics is important to our communities, and I think anything that we can do to kind of bring attention to all of our athletes and the hard work that they do is a huge positive. Thanks to all the members of the media for being out here today. Again, your job is so important to these young men and their families. They just put in a lot of time and effort, and know that they're going to gain some recognition over the course of the year because of your guys' hard work. That means a lot to us. Really quick, on my left is Clayton Merrill. Clayton is one of our senior wide receivers. Clayton, one of the first freshmen that had been called up in a long time, so he's essentially a 4-year starter in our program. And Sam Ralston, I always want to say Stone Ralston because his brother was also a member of our program. He's our younger brother in our program as well. Another senior, really a 3-year starter for us. Really good offensive lineman, really good receiver. So I felt like both these guys who were program guys would do a good job of kind of being able to explain who we are and what we're about with our football program. We're looking forward to 2024. You know, football is one of those things where you spend so much time practicing in the off season that I don't care what the situation is. When the season gets here, you're going to be excited. Our off season started January 3rd at 5:30 in the morning this year. Okay, so you've got to imagine since January 3rd, a large number of our kids that weren't involved in other sports were in the weight room, on the field running some days when there was ice on the field, after school, spring practice, June, coming back from dead period. So to get close to the season starting is always going to be something that just causes a lot of excitement because you're finally getting to go out and hopefully see the fruits of all that hard labor that you've put in. graduated a really good group last year, okay? Last year was a really special year. A lot of old kids, a senior-laden group that had a lot of experience under their belts, a lot of snaps under their belts, a lot of fun. This year, you know, we do like a lot of teams, and if you look on our helmets, there's a little sticker, and this year it says it's build, the word B-U-I-L-D, build, because we chose that because if you look up the definition, I hate to be that guy like Webster says, but if you build, you're putting the pieces together and you're making something stronger, okay? And I thought that considering that we just lost so many kids that played a lot of snaps, that word really was a good way of describing what we had to do. We've got a lot of pieces that we've got to put together, okay? If we get those pieces put together as a football team, we're going to be a lot stronger. Really good schedule. Obviously, we're the second year of the scheduling cycle, okay? So everybody we played last year, the difference is last year, I was talking to Maurice earlier, we were fortunate that we had a lot of those guys at home, but now it's at BA, it's at Summit, it's going to be at Indy, and at Ravenwood, with also a very long trip to Henry County as well. So excited about the schedule, but we understand that whereas we had to win those games at James C. Parker Stadium last year, now we got to get on the bus and travel and show that we can do it on the road as well. Our kids, and if I had to describe where we are as a team right now, we've gotten better every single day out. Okay, that's what we talked about from January on. We just continue to get better. Okay, we really, I'll be very honest with you, as far as true full-time starters, there's one back on defense. Now, a lot of the guys that are stepping into that role this year played a lot of minutes last year, but if you sat there and said, okay, who started all 11 games or all 14 games last year on defense, one of those guys is back. We are fortunate on offense. We bring back 4 starters with a number of guys that played significant snaps for us. So it's a work in progress. We're getting to where we want to be. But the biggest thing is our kids continue to show up. All we talk about, and they probably get tired of me saying it, is we're just going to show up every day and get better, okay? If we get on the practice field at 3, let's be better at 5:30, okay? If we're in the weight room at 6:30 in the morning, let's be better at 7:15 in the morning. That's kind of what we've built this thing on for a long time at Brentwood, and we're going to continue to stress that as long as I'm there at least, okay? Don't know if that's a good, we just got off the field for Mom's Day camp, okay? So, like, I will tell you this. I think we're going to be a pretty good football team. What you don't want to see is that bunch of mamas come out and play people on Friday night, because they will absolutely destroy people, okay? Like, you look at, we judge our kids. I tell the moms, we judge your kid based on your athleticism and aggressiveness, and I see why we've been a pretty good football team. So Mom's Camp was a lot of fun, and I'm just saying, you might want to leave those ladies alone. They're a real deal, okay? So there's my opening statement. Feel free to fire away with questions for Clayton, me, or Sam.
KJ 615 Preps, and like you said, Coach, you guys lost a lot of experience from last year, including Baylor Hayes. How is the quarterback battle panning out, and who has really stepped up to fill that void?
So I think right now we have 2 kids that are fighting out for the quarterback position: senior Cannon Kinder and junior J.C. White. I'd say right now, I'm a big believer, like, until you really get the pad zone, there's only so much evaluation you can do. It gets to be a lot different when there's 11 on 11 and they're facing a D-line rush. Both those kids are competing their tails off. They're both getting better every day. As far as where we are right now, I couldn't begin to tell you. I'm not sure. I know we've got 3 scrimmages coming up, and I know that, you know, the opener against Blackman, and hopefully by that point in time, one of those 2 kids is going to step forward and win it. Or we might go into the season for a while having to play both of them. We just don't know, but they come to practice every day. They work really hard. We feel like either one of those guys can be really good. We're just trying to find the best one to help all 95 kids on that football team.
Coach, this is the 3rd or 4th straight year y'all will have a different quarterback starting.
This is 4. Yeah, 4.
How big a challenge is that, from the continuity of having the same person multiple years, and you got a new person each year?
In some ways, this is unique. So if you go back, we had Davis White in 2021, but Davis was the 4-year guy in our program, so he knew the system. In 2022, Grant Nelson moved down here from Michigan. That was a challenge, right? Brand new kid, brand new system. Baylor was a brand new kid, brand new system. The good thing about Cannon and J.C. White, the younger brother of Davis, those guys have played quarterback in our program at the JV level before. So they kind of bring in some prior knowledge. Would we like to at some point in time hit a point where we get that guy for 2 or 3 years like we did a Cade Granzow from 18 through 20? Yeah. Although I would also tell you, with the way the quarterback situation is in the world, I talk to a lot of coaches. It's a very fluid and volatile position, and it's hard to sit there and build a lot of continuity there.
Scrimmages, who you have and where are they at, and what do you try to get out of those?
So Siegel this next Friday at home, Nolensville the Friday after that, and then Coffee County the Friday after that. All three are at home, just kind of fell out weird that way. Lots of competition on this football team this year, a lot of guys battling. A lot of guys that had, either they were really good. All right, so we're probably in this position this year. We may start 3 sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
So you had these really good freshmen that you're wanting to see how do they do on Friday nights. We have a lot of guys that were really good JV players. How are they going to transition into Friday night? Or some of these guys, like I'm just thinking Mason Ray was a really good outside linebacker for us that played behind Cooper McAfee last year. Mason would play 15, 16, 17 snaps a game last year. Did a great job for us. Will he do that same great job this year, getting 40 to 50 snaps a game? So that's what we're really looking forward in those 3 scrimmages. Not trying to win the scrimmages, trying to evaluate and give the best, honest, most fair evaluation of every kid.
Last question for me. T.O. Spilley last year took over region scheduling, not only like when you're going to play them at home and away, but like what dates. Mm-hmm. That also meant Battle of the Woods at the end. Looking now a year later, are you okay with that, or would you like to go back to be able to kind of decide when that Ravenwood game might be a little more?
Honestly, I'm okay. I kind of said this before. You're going to have to play those guys at some point in time. So it's not an issue of trying to get anybody fired up for that game. The only scary thing about it is that you're at week 10, or we're really week 11, I guess, with the bye week, whatever. But can you keep everybody healthy to get there? But if it's not Ravenwood, it's going to be another Williamson County or Region 6 6A team, and they're all pretty good. So you're going to have to play all those guys. I don't know that it matters when you play them.
Joe with 615 Preps. For the players, I mean, last year 13-1, you guys make it all the way to the semifinals. It seemed like each week everybody's just predicting Brentwood to win because you guys found ways to win, whether blowout or close games. How's that experience going to help going into this year where, kind of like KJ said, there's a lot of new guys that are going to be breaking into the system, but returning guys like you, how important is that?
Personally, I feel I don't really pay attention to all like the media and like the Instagram stuff. I'm off of Instagram during big weeks, and I think that, I mean, people can say whatever they want, and our team we're the only people on the team that are at practice when no fans are out there, and I feel that we just prepare every week to put ourselves first and make sure that we are confident in ourselves and our players. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like media is media, and our football team can just prove what we need to prove.
Yeah, I'd definitely say the same thing. Earlier in the year, before the season started, we were really just focused on what the media was saying, and we weren't looking too good what the media was saying in that aspect. And once the season started to pick up, we kind of tuned it out, and we just kind of rolled with it.
Clayton, I got one for you, kind of a unique one. College football 25 just came out. Walker's in the game. Has he talked a lot about that? And how kind of cool is that to see? Because I think you're one of the guys here who, you have a family member in the game. How cool is that?
I mean, he was excited, but I usually play with him, so I'll just like give him like a 300-yard game. So, I mean, it's cool to have a brother playing in the game. So we talk about it a lot. He's stoked about it, so I think it's really cool.
Coach Dana McClendon, WAKM. Last year we saw a lot of your games, and it looked like the identity that your team had was if we get 28 points, we're just kind of lean on people and wear them down, grind them out, put 28 points up, catch us if you can. What kind of identity do you see this team having this year? You're going to have to. What do you see that coming? Is it going to be different, the same? Are you trying to be the same?
I think, first of all, I will tell you I'm not a gambler. So if you give me 28 points, we're going to try to find a way to shorten the game and get us out of that thing with a win. Will we have the possibility to do that? I think so. I think with guys like Sam on the O-line, Alex Arena, Philip Wink, who was a really good JV player that stepped into probably a starting role this year. I think we will be able to run the football. I think we've got a number of really good receivers. I mean, Clayton's little brother Jones Merrill is a sophomore. He's probably going to start at one of our outside receivers. And Parker Emerson's another really good sophomore. You probably got to see him some during basketball season. He played a lot as a freshman in basketball. He's another outside receiver. I think Gavin Nelson is back, so we really like Gavin at running back. And then 2 tight ends right now. Bowen Clunan is doing a really good job, and we picked up a really good kid from Florida, kind of a Brentwood kid that moved back home, Landon Okla. So we feel like, we're going to have multiple ways, hopefully, to put points on the board. We do recognize, we've talked a lot about the quarterbacks, like we feel like we have a lot of pieces. We need a quarterback to step up and win this and be able to do what we need to do, distributing the ball the way we need it to be distributed to score points. We're hoping, we always want to score a lot of points, but at the same point in time, we have a really good defensive staff, so we're okay if we have to sit there and get a lead, then hold on to it.
As to the 2 quarterbacks, are they stylistically different? You say one of them's got to step up and win. You're going to put whoever gives you the best chance to win on the field. Can you speak to what style of quarterback are they?
JC is very much like his brother. I don't know if you really go back and you look at 2021 Brentwood Bruins. JC looks exactly like Davis, okay? And Davis kind of wheeled and dealed a little bit, and sometimes a little bit too much for us. But he wound up having a really good year that year. That's JC in a nutshell. Cannon, if you know Cannon Kinder, he's a state champion decathlete, really, really athletic kid, really strong kid, not real big, but really strong. I would say, and I'm hesitant, if I had to go, okay, which one maybe throws the ball with better touch? Maybe JC throws it with a little bit better touch. Which one brings a little bit overall athleticism to it? Probably Cannon brings a little bit overall athleticism to it. But they're both, doing a great job for us.
Guys, was mentioned the college football 2025 game out there. I was told there is a Brentwood High School in there. How much are you all playing as Brentwood right now?
I would play with them if I could figure out how to. I don't know how to do it.
Me either, so all right.
It's the same for me.
There's one out there you just can't figure out how to get to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
My understanding was Tyson Moody, who was one of our long snapper last year. Tyson Moody went through and did it exactly right. My wife hasn't let me buy the game yet, so I haven't got to see it yet.
All right.
Coach Finch, this is for you and your players. Everybody talks about the rivalry between you and Ravenwood, but I want to talk about a different team, Brentwood Academy. Your team's not used to playing them that much, but still close in distance as well. How does playing that team help your schedule as well?
So if you look at our league, when you're in 6A football, you have a hard time finding 4A teams or lower to go play. You're going to have to play 6A football teams. And if you're in our league that's had a lot of success, you're going to have to play pretty good people. So that's why BA is on our schedule. BA struggles sometimes to find games. We struggle to find games. So it worked out for us for this 2-year cycle to play each other. Listen, that's an outstanding program. I think Paul Wade is a great hire for that school. I think he's going to do a great job there. It's the coaching cliche, iron sharpens iron, but you need to play those guys early on. We're not the only one doing it. Ravenwood's got Oakland and Alcoa on there. Indy's got Oakland on there. You have to play good people. It's exciting for our kids. It'll be at their place this year. It's a nice short drive. I know I'll be, I heard about getting home late from that game. But generally, we think it's going to benefit BA. We think it benefits us as well. And you're going to see people that good as you make a playoff run. So let's go ahead and see how we measure up in week 2.
Brad DeShiel with Dash to Sports, covered Indy for several years. Those games are always great. Last year, as a media person looking at everybody and coming out of here, my thought of Brentwood was like, oh, they're going to fight to be a 3 team. That's, of course, I was at that point an Indy caller, and I'm thinking, oh, we could beat them. And then I started looking and watching your games, and it was just, to me, what I saw was a mentally tough team and a defensive team that let your offense win. Mm-hmm. And first of all, commending on a great year. You guys had a great year, all of you.
Thank you.
Talk about, does that, I know that mental toughness is what you teach, but how much of that also, like Clayton, I heard you saying something like, well, we don't really get into the media stuff. We just kind of do our thing. Does that come into play on Friday nights?
Yeah, I also think it's when it comes to Ravenwood and all the social media stuff is involved. We always have a talk. I mean, this is every week. They always have a talk when we huddle up, saying stay out of the media, stay out of all that, because all it's going to do is just make you focus on that and bring you out of the game that you're about to play. You just got to focus about the 11 guys that are on the field with you playing. And I feel like the mental toughness comes with practice and how they make us practice. It's super structured, you're very intentional with what you do. I feel like that's why we're so mentally tough, and it helps us in the long run.
Yeah, last season, for our defense, we really just wanted to get them on the field because we knew that they could take care of business. And I know as an offensive guy, we weren't really worried what our defense was going to do. We knew that they were going to do their job every time. And we talked a lot about grit this offseason, and I think just our defense and our offense, we came together. We both had a lot of grit last year, and we were willing to get dirty and get stuff done.
Okay, since we're staying out of the media thing, okay.
We love the media.
I
We
don't
just
know,
have
but
to pay
I'm just-
attention to certain things.
Wait till you hear what I got to tell you, and then you can tell me yourself. Just we're staying out of the video game things. I will tell you that there was another school that was here earlier who you guys beat twice last year, who said that, yes, that is actually on the game and that they continue to beat you guys 179-3 in the game. You could have some fun with that.
I tell you what, if there's one thing, and I tell everybody, I worked at both schools, okay, so everybody kind of questions my loyalty at some point in time. That's one of the things that makes that rivalry so much fun, is that you're sitting there, both those teams located in a really good school district in a really good city, both of them want to have that honor of saying they won that ball game. And so that's one of the things that makes it so much fun.
Thank you. Good job, guys.
Thank you for being here, guys.
Good job. That'll wrap it up for Football Media Day 2024. Appreciate the coaches and players for making the time to be here. Want to get some thank yous in here. Obviously, the members of the media, really do appreciate you being here. Erin Powers from OTL's wanting you guys to hang around just a minute. She wants to get a pic of you guys too. But we can't have Media Day without you guys, so we do appreciate that. Factory, Mojos, Walker Chevrolet. We can't do what we do in WCS Athletics without the support of Walker Chevrolet, so we appreciate Brock Daly and that group for helping us out. WCTV, Will, Lance, Creed, over the years, big supporters of WCS, and appreciate the live stream. I know you guys have enjoyed watching that this morning, and I know we'll have some folks go back and give it a watch later as well. Tate Matthews and Adidas, appreciate Tate. He was out here this morning doing his weekly coaches show from the factory. It was remote. That went great this morning as well, so do appreciate that. And look forward to seeing you guys at some games this year. It's a fun time of year. As we always say, that this really gets us started for 24-25, and it's going to be an exciting year in football. I think we're going to have some teams make it pretty deep in the playoffs, some that you talked to, obviously, this morning. So appreciate you being here, and that'll do it for WCS Football Media Day 2024.